What up, though? One Pride. This is the ROTL UK podcast, a podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick, and this is the Sunday night Q&A. I know it's been a few weeks since we've done a stream on the weekends. Usually we used to do it every Friday, but unfortunately work has taken over my life over recent months, and I've had less and less time to be able to do anything, and I've just not been able to do them. But I got a rare Sunday night off. I'm chilled, I'm relaxed, so I thought, why not go live and do a Q&A and see what we can come up with. So hopefully all of you are good. See, there's a few people in the building already. Raw Biz is in the building, hope you're doing well. Bob O'Lan is in the building, hope you are good as well. It's what it says on the tin. You got anything you want to ask this eve, then get your questions in there. We'll be discussing, be it Detroit Lions, college football, now technically the 2027 NFL draft, not the 26 one anymore, but you know the drill. Put it in there, I will get them answered. And if I can't on this show, then we'll do it a later show. As always, I'll go through all the housekeeping and stuff while people come in the building and questions start to arrive. Because I have no pre-planned questions this week because I didn't advertise the fact that I was going to do this. So, but yeah, we'll get the housekeeping out the way. So, ROTL UK, if you want in on the Discord, let us know. We'll send you across the link for that. Discord is a great place to come and chat with us on an everyday basis, even while we are not live. Main podcast, if you've not seen, a couple of days ago, we had a special interview with Dave Burkett from the Detroit Free Press, one of our favourite beat writers who comes on the show with us, always heavily watched. He is such a great dude, an absolute font of information. So if you've not checked that out already, then please go and do so. It was a great interview. And yeah, that was the last of the main pods. The college football podcast, apologies to those of you who watch. I know we sort of did one and then we've had a break again. That's been down to my hectic work schedule. I've not had a chance to get the stuff done for the shows. It's nothing to do with Rye, it's all on me. But we will be live on Wednesday this upcoming week. We will finish the CUSA preview in due course. But we've got other pressing matters on hand right now, specifically with one Detroit Lions cornerback who is in court tomorrow, and a pretty big case is on the horizon. So me and Rye have made it our mission to go and take a look if we are going to need a new corner next year, potentially out the draft. And, you know, we've tried to draft one for forever and a day now, and it doesn't quite seem to have worked. Who might we be looking at in the 2027 class? So we're going to be doing some draft profiles for you from guys from the Power 4, the Group of 6, and the FCS as well. So some names for you to keep an eye on for this upcoming collegiate season. Spoiler, keep an eye on the state of Iowa, because that's pretty good this year. But yeah, me and Ryan will be back looking at corners on Wednesday. And then tomorrow, I do believe Matt's doing a mailbag tomorrow. I didn't actually realise this. I got this planned for this evening, but the guys are going to be taking questions tomorrow as well, but there's going to be more of them. So if you don't want to ask me questions, that's fine. I understand. You can ask the guys tomorrow instead. Don't forget we're part of Lions Nation Unite, all that good sort of stuff, so share that. We're monetized, we've got a tip jar, all that sort of stuff, so if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we just love having you all in the building to talk football with us in any way, shape or form, whether it's college ball or whether it's Lions. So, as I say, get your questions in there and we'll get this thing a-rolling, and we'll see how much chatter we get in here as to how long this thing goes. But yeah, just appreciate all of you who have taken a little bit of time out your day to come and chat with me this evening. Where were we? Oh, where's my screen gone? Ah, there we go. Don't know why the blue screen always comes on every now and then, but yeah, that's... Oh dear me. Anyhow, Rob Bisco, someone who can actually read my name properly. Always try my best there. Vented's in the building. Marcus Newsom is in the building. DC Smithers is in the building as well. And remember, DC Smithers, we're not talking about last Monday, yeah, where I made an absolute tit of myself on the last podcast. I don't think it could have gone any worse. But that is the unfortunate life of a content creator. When you're on air talking about things, your takes stay up forever. It's not like you're at home and you can say something stupid and people will forget about it. My shame is forever on there. But yes, my very passionate defence of Terry and Arnold soon turned to dust. as well as me saying that the Lions should maybe have a look at Brendan Sorsby in the supplemental draft. But we all have a bad week. We are all human. Venter goes, are there any cornerback free agents the Lions could realistically bring in on a 1-year deal? In terms of who is still available, I mean, we're going to be looking at the sparse end of the barrel there now. So in terms of looking at who's still available right now, so names that are on the docket, we've got Marshawn Lattimore, Trayvon Diggs, Jimmy Ward, Kenny Moore, Tre'Davious White, Jeff Okudah. Anybody? We wanna try that experiment again. There's Nazir Johnson, Adoree Jackson, Chris Boyd, Rasul Douglas, Artie Burns, Nick McLeod, Jalen Mills, Fabian Moreau, Arthur Morley. Obviously, we've had him here, so possibly bring him back there. And then looking down, it's kind of, there's not a lot behind there. Q Blue Kelly is on the market from the Vegas Raiders. I liked him in the draft a few years ago. I don't know why he's not got a home. And very bottom of the cornerback free agent list is DiCaprio Bootle, who we all know in Detroit and probably do not want to get to know again. But is there anyone on there I would take a look at? I mean, given what he did with our divisional rivals, I wouldn't mind taking a look at Rasul Douglas. Just to see, because I know he's been very hit and miss, but like that 1 year, that big year he had at the Packers when they desperately needed someone, like he was pretty good. And obviously he knows the division, he knows all our opponents, so he's got a little bit of an inside track there. I wouldn't mind at least bringing him in for some form of a tryout to see what we can get from him. Again, sort of familiarity and that. It's out of a very small list on there. He is one I would go for. I mean, I guess you could also take a look at some of the top guys. I mean, Trayvon Diggs, his market value is going to be way down right now, whether you think you can get him on a rebound, because he's still relatively young. I don't think he's even turned 29 yet. I think he's either 27 or 28. So, again, he wouldn't be corner one here. If you're playing Trayvon Diggs with DJ Reed, maybe something there. And we've been asking for more interceptions for the corners. The one thing Diggs can do is get takeaways, even if he does get burnt a little bit. But I don't know. If the money was right, I would say possibly. And then I think Kenny Moore would be the other one. He is a little older at 31. But, bring some veteran presence into the room while you've got a lot of younger corners knocking round. Someone who can sort of hold the fort till Keith Abney is ready to ascend. Because I think Abney can go after... Abney's been an outside corner his entire career. So he knows how to play on the boundary. And that's where he plays. So I would say give Keith Abney first shot at it, to be fair. Assuming Terrion doesn't come back to us, which at this point seems unlikely. But if he's not quite ready, then yeah, you just want someone who can hold the boat. I mean, maybe Tre'Davious White wouldn't be the worst for a few games. Like a vet, you can just hold over at the position for a few games and then bring Abney in and sort of phase them out and then use them as a rotational guy afterwards. But yeah, I think my favourite out the lot to try would be Rasul Douglas. Because he does fit that category. He's nearly 32, so you could play the first half of the season with him, and then move on to Keith Abney afterwards. So I think that would be the direction I would go there. Outside of that, I'm not really enamoured whatsoever. I'm certainly looking towards the next draft cycle, because we need to. We need to land on it. I was saying it the other day. This is all Matt Patricia's fault. Matt Patricia, who he's placed a curse on Detroit. The way that he treated Darius Slay on his way out the building has kind of cursed us. So, the whole Bobby Lane treatment thing. I know Bobby Lane won championships here, but Slay was just amazing. We've not had any All-Pro caliber corner play since Slay was ejected from Detroit, and I blame Matt Patricia for that. So we need to fire up Jeff Daniels and Peyton Manning again and get another curse removed off this team, because when you think about it, we've had a wretched run of luck. Whether it's guys who've been injured, Okudah got hurt early, Iffy if he was just starting to look good at corner, then he got hurt. And it's Rakestraw we've never seen play there before. And then we've just seen a lot of outright bad corners, especially ones who we've paid good money to come here. And Mosley never saw the field either, so there is some sort of curse hanging over our corner position right now, and we need to get it sorted. But yeah, I think the draft 100% for me is where you're going. It's already, I mean, a lot can happen in a season and things can change. And hell, you could probably hit the trade market as well if you're that worried about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit the trade market before the season started, because this is way too big a season for us to not address this and to try and do it in-house. I know they like to try and do it in-house, but there's a lot on the line this year. You can't go 3 years without playoffs. So you've got to try and be very proactive here. But I think the draft is how I would do it, but I would try and get someone in outside, at least who can cover the year. The Burkett podcasts are always very good. They are. He's so well spoken. You know, he's supported us ever since we started, even when we were a smaller podcast than we are now of nobodies. Like, I think he was our first 1,000 view show, and like he didn't have to come on, and you know, and he did, and he's always supported the pod. So you know, we have to give massive kudos to him because his time is very precious. So it is always very good, and we always enjoy the work we do with him. Marcus Newsom goes, I say swing for the fences, 2027 first round pick, 2028 third round pick, and Keith Abney to the Bengals for DJ Turner and a 2027 fourth round pick. Woo, boy. That's bold. I mean, I love Keith. Like, I'm not even bothered about the first round pick in that scenario. I don't want to give up Keith Abney. Like, I give up a first before Keith Abney. Obviously, DJ Turner's got the Michigan roots in there, but I must admit I've not followed his career so much. That seems like a very steep price, but if he's been playing really well, then maybe. But I do get with your swing for the fences thing. I would not put a trade off the table at all to go and swing for somebody and to get someone new in, because you've got to sort the position for this year. And if Abney's not quite ready, because yes, he is a fifth round pick, Ennis we can't trust because he's not been healthy, so you've got to go in assuming that he's not going to be playing the full season. And then with your problems at safety as well, you've got to have to make a move there. So I'm not averse to taking a swing. That particular trade though would feel heavy duty for me, but again, I've not followed DJ Turner so much, so I'll put the brakes on that one there. But yeah, certainly go for that. Venter goes, whoa, Power 6. The Pac-12 is a powerhouse. That remains to be seen. The official terminology is Group of 6 at this moment in time, because all the teams going into it, apart from Oregon State and Washington State, are technically Group of 5 teams. So they are referred to as the Group of 6 right now. So, you know, that's what we've got to do. But it could be in future. Depends who they get. They're going to be a lot more conference editions and bits like that. There could be 15 DBs that will be a nice addition. I hear the 2027 class is going to be deep and fast. Is that the draft? Yeah, 2027 stacked all over the place. Obviously, everything changes in a year, but you have a lot of potentially very exciting prospects there. Certainly enough that no matter where you're picking in round one, be it at, like in the top 10 or 25 or lower, there's probably going to be someone that you like there, and probably someone who's going to make a big difference for your team there, regardless of what you like. So it is a good year to need one. For sure. DC Smith goes, hey Ant, happy Monday. Yes, it technically is Monday here, but for all you lot over there, it's Sunday. So, yeah, it's a happy Monday for me. Rare night off. DJ Turner will continue the run of U of M players, and Turner is a potential Pro Bowl candidate for the next 5 years. That's fair enough. I get familiarity and all. He was good back in his Michigan days. Robiz goes, not worthy of a Lions roster spot, I'd probably trade for a cornerback, then buy one on free agency right now. Yeah, probably agree with you there. Douglas isn't athletic enough for us. Potentially not, but I think we sometimes have to go outside of our tropes because whatever's happened has not worked so far. Diggs isn't a culture fit, potentially not, but there's nothing else there. At some point, you've got to, if you're going to say, well, no one fits what we are there, we're not going to do anything about it. Sometimes that's the worst of two evils. You've got to get somebody in to do something. And again, it's not like you're going to spend 3 years, 50 million on these guys. You're probably going to spend 1 year, 2 or 3 million or something on them, and this time in 12 months they're gone. So it's not like you're going to have to pay them an insane contract. And at worst, they come here and provide a bit of depth if they're not going to start. So I still do think you have to consider it. And as for, we've got a very strong locker room. I reject the whole players are not culture fits here. Like, they'll have the culture knocked into them. This team will do that. If Brad starts shopping next year's first round pick and a cheap rookie like Abney, you would be surprised who's really available. No, you're right. I mean, you could get a high level, like that's a high level return. That's talking a top 5 corner in the league, potentially, especially if they're knocking round on a bad team. I wouldn't be able to think off the top of my head right now, but you'd think some of the worst teams now would be like the Browns, the Saints, potentially, although their division's a little weird. The Jets. Obviously, you wouldn't go for Sauce. Or would you go for Sauce? I don't know. But yeah, you would get a decent return for that, indeed. Trey White was good for the Bills at the end of last season, and yeah, that's all you'd need. You'd just need him to be good for a while whilst our guys start, because who knows, maybe Rakestraw stays healthy and becomes as good as we all hoped he would be 3 years ago. Like, he may surprise us. He will just need some time to get up to speed. So yeah, at the end of the day, you just need someone to come in and be solid for a month, maybe a bit more, and job done, really. Would you trade for Denzel Ward, and if so, what price? Oh, that's thinking about the Browns there. Yes, I would. I mean, the price, though. It's always the price. I mean, it depends what Cleveland are going to do, because obviously he might be one who would be available come the deadline. If they're doing bad. I mean, what is he? He's just approaching 29 years old. Statistically a down year last year, but again, he's playing on a rank awful side right now. Like, I would go for him. I think given the age and that, I try and get away with a day 2 pick. For sure. I might even try and throw a fringe player in there, like maybe, I don't know, maybe give a second and third and see if they'd take Rakestraw and they could, get younger at the position. Maybe Rakestraw works for them. Obviously, his contract's pretty big as well, so it depends on how much of the contract you're going to eat, how much they're going to eat, as to what the price will be as well. But I certainly would. I don't think I'd give a first for him. I just think he's a little too old for the first, but I would give a day 2 pick and maybe a player. Someone who we don't particularly need. So I would try that for absolute sure. But I wouldn't mind him here. That'd be a damn good acquisition for us. He's tough, gritty, exactly the kind of profile we want, and he's used to been on the wrong end of a hiding, but that means he's battle hardened. I think out of all the corner prospects, if you could have anyone in the league, like realistically, I think he might be top of that list, because again, the Browns are not in a position to compete, so they would listen to offers for him. But yeah, I'd go a day 2 pick and maybe try and throw a player in there as well, if I could. Even pick 32 and 27 is going to have a premium price tag. Again, it's all in hindsight. If all the players, declared tomorrow, then yes, but years change. But it just seems like there's far too many great players this year that at least 32 of them are going to do well this year and keep their stock high. But yeah, the 27 picks have already been traded like they're a higher commodity than usual. So yeah, you do have to be careful with that. I would love Ward, however, I don't know the contract cap impact. Well, that's why we're here. Let's have a look, see what he's on. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. So he's currently on a 5-year, $100 million extension, but it only runs through to 2027. So as it stands, he's got 2 years left on this deal. Cap hits 30 million this year, 29 million next year, but you're gonna you'd only take on the base salary. His base salary is 16.9 million this year, so it's hefty. Don't get me wrong, but the rest of it would have to be paid by the Browns, and then he's on the hook for 17.4 million next year. So essentially, it's a 2-year, let's call it $34 million deal that you would owe him. So obviously, with our cap situation, it's a little tight, but he is 29. You could potentially do an extension with him to knock some of that money down the way, add some void years into it as well, as Brad so often likes to do. So honestly, it's not the worst situation. Again, it's not like you're taking on 18 million for 5 years on guaranteed. He's coming towards the end of that deal. So 16.9 this year, 17.4 next year. But again, assuming you're going to give him an extension, because next year's his contract year. So he'll probably want a little bit of stability as well. And at his age, he's probably going to want to try and win a Super Bowl. I don't think the Browns are in his window for a Super Bowl. Certainly not whilst he's a starting caliber player. He's got, 2-3 years of being a full-time starter left. The Browns are not competing in that time frame for it. So I think the contract looks eatable. As I say, then you just renegotiate it. Add a year on. Push the money down to the last 2 years, and then add the void years onto it. So yeah, I'm thinking that's not too bad a deal actually. It doesn't push it into unlikely category. You can eat that. You can find a way to eat that. Donkey Kong's in the building. Goes, let's go. Indeed, good to have you in the building. Turner is a $4 million cap hit this year, and next, hence the first round pick. We get a true cornerback one. Would love to have space to extend Laporta. Yeah, true. Laporta, you've got to wait to see play first. I hope they don't do the Laporta extension during the off-season. I want to see him play, just like I want to see Branch play. Do them during next season. That's absolutely fine. Ward is a culture fit, scheme fit. He's a proven superstar, and on our defense, he's a legit lockdown cornerback. Yes, he is, indeed. Could definitely use a solid vet quarterback. It doesn't take much to match TA's production. No, it doesn't. But I will say it's going to take a lot to reach the ceiling we could have had with TA. Obviously, we're potentially not going to get someone who has the ceiling. Obviously, he might never reach his ceiling now, but he was just coming into year 3. You were just hoping that first round caliber was going to be revealed. So it's still disappointing, even if the overall production's not there. But for me, he was looking better. I thought he was right on track, but yeah, it is sad. 27 is said to rival the 2011 class, if not better, and that was a Hall of Fame draft. Again, it all depends. The good thing for the 27 draft, it's not centered around its quarterbacks. I mean, it is, but you've got legit Hall of Famers at every position this year. Certainly at safety, at cornerback, off the top of my head, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, receiver. So the thing that makes this one good is its variation. A lot of drafts, they're known for their quarterbacks. Like they stand on the strength of their quarterbacks. That won't need to be the case this year. Even if a lot of them flame out, there's still a top tier of blue chip talent at other positions. So yeah, it could be, but again, 12 months in college football is a long time. A very, very, very long time. And a lot of these guys declaring this year are just coming in. They'll be true juniors. So a lot of them, might stay. It's not a given that they'll come up this year. Although, if they're red shirts, it will. because the new laws have just been passed. That means college football players can only spend 4 years in college now from start to finish. That's from when they graduate out of high school. So if you're a redshirt, you're only going to get 3 years of play now as a maximum, which is interesting. But obviously it means that players are going to come through younger. It's such a weird dynamic. I'll talk about it more with Ryan on Wednesday, but yeah, it's a fascinating shift now. That you've got 4 years to complete your college career and that's it. You're not going to see many lifers again at some of these programs, or the guys who rack up 50 games or whatever. It's very hard to start as a true freshman anywhere. So a lot of these guys are only going to get 2-3 years as starters at most. So yeah, I'm fascinated by that rule change. It's probably for the better. And it means that people are going to be a lot more picky about where they go. This is going to be interesting for recruiting, because players aren't going to go to big schools and be told to wait 2 years before they see the field. If that's half their eligibility gone, they'll want to start instantly. So I'm fascinated by what the new dynamic might be. It might actually help smaller schools, this will. If they offer players starting gigs right away, off the bat, yeah, they might transfer down the line and lose them, but that desire to get 4 full years of football in might benefit smaller teams exponentially, at least to start with. So yeah, going to be really interesting. $3 million increase over TA. I'm not sure what his. Oh yeah, I think it's 14 million this year, isn't he? So again, it remains to be seen what happens with Terrion's contract as well. Hopefully, well, I say hopefully, if the worst comes to the worst, we can recoup some of what we owe him, so we can put it towards someone like that. I give a first for Ward and a third. Yeah, I would probably try and make the third like a 2028 one or something. I don't want to lose a first and a third for next year. But I would try and make one of those picks like a 28 pick, if I could. Jonathan Anton's in the building, says, good evening, hope you are doing well, sir. Roberts goes, injuries happen in college too. They do. They absolutely do. So many players who would, again, go for drafts don't because of injuries. So yeah, we just don't know who's coming up next year, unless they're definitely in their last year, because those eligibility rules apply to this year as well. So if you're entering year 4 this year, no matter whether you get injured or not, you're done. You're out of college this year. You're coming to the draft whether you like it or not. So again, it's just going to fascinate me. A more even distribution of talent amongst the rest of college teams. That's what I hope. That players' desire to start early means they'll stop shunning. They'll stop going to the top teams to sit and wait. It's best to start at a smaller team, get your experience in, start developing your game, and then go to a big school, which will then hopefully, let you. Or players might decide, well, you know what? I'm going to stay and play 4 years of football at this team because I know they'll play me. Because a lot of players move to bigger teams and sit on the bench. As Gerald quite rightly said when we last had him on, coaches don't care about players as much if they're not their own recruits. The guys out the portal, they just generally don't care about as much. They will look after their own in-house guys before anyone else. So maybe if talent drops down a level, it'll stay down a level. Who knows? And yeah, no medical red shirts either. Nope. It's just the unfortunate nature of it, but you can't be 25, 26, 27 playing college ball. You just can't. You've just got to roll with the punches. I don't know how the only thing I don't know is I don't know how it affects missions. I would assume that's going to hurt BYU, Utah, and Utah State massively. Oh no, just BYU are the ones who do missions. I think Utah players don't have to, but BYU missions last 2 years, so I don't know how the eligibility rules affect them, but if they do, then any BYU player is only going to play a max of 2 years, because they're going to be out on mission for 2. I'll have to clarify that. I assume they're not going to make an exception for them. So yeah, BYU, that could be an interesting rule change for them. I'll have to have a look at that for Wednesday's show and see what's what. What do you think will be more likely to happen? Goff 5,000 passing yards or Gibbs 2,000 rushing yards? Ooh, I mean, the way the Lions like to play, Jared Goff shouldn't be throwing five. If Jared Goff is throwing 5,000 yards in a season, while statistically it's great for him, that's bad for us. Because that would intimate that he's throwing the ball a lot more for a lot more yardage, which would intimate that we're not running the ball so well. And if we're not running the ball so well, traditionally we struggle more. So, whereas if Jahmyr Gibbs is rushing for 2,000 yards, that means we're rushing the football more, we're having success rushing the football, and therefore our offense is more likely to work. So, I mean, it's interesting. I would prefer it be Gibbs rushing for 2,000, but Goff's always pushing that 4,500 yard mark. I mean, is this regular season as well? I guess it's really hard to throw for 5,000 yards in a season at all. Stafford did it once, so you're probably more likely to have the 2,000 yard season from a rusher. So I'd say it'd be Gibbs, but and again, that's not a knock on Goff. I just don't want him throwing for 5,000 yards, Unless the rushing game is doing well and we still throw for 5,000 yards, which means we're just putting 50 burgers up every week. I'll take that world, but yeah, I think the more likely option is Gibbs on 2. Wide receiver question. Do the Lions have 11 receivers just for punt and kick returns? Does it say anything about personnel usage? I think it says everything about them trying to sort their depth chart out. I mean, I know because you've got your top 3, right? You've got your top 3. You've got your 2 standout weapons in J-Mo and Amon-Ra. Then you've got Tesla, who's the developing body behind. Then, I mean, you've got Dortch. And, Dortch has a ceiling. I don't think it's a particularly high one. You can use him as the receiver gadget type. But not having Kendrick Law's hurt big time, because that's deprived us of a massive hybrid weapon. So, I think there's that many receivers in the building because they want as much competition to try and fill out those depth spots, because I don't think they're guaranteed. The more bodies you've got, the more chance you're going to have of having a quality battle that pushes one of them up. So I just think they're more worried about the depth there. But certainly there'll be a returning aspect to it. Like, we potentially have some returners on board. We had some guys we had Sawyers do it last year. I believe they say that Varkey might be able to do it, but, I think certainly you're looking for those guys who can return it well, who are good on special teams. That's why there's a lot of them, and again, to flesh out the depth chart if you need it. But I don't know if it says anything about personnel usage. I'm shocked there's been no more tight ends brought in. I really am. The tight end room is a mess right now. It's an absolute mess. So maybe they are, because Petsin likes to use 2 tight ends, and quite frankly, right now we don't have 2 tight ends. Sam's still hurt, Conklin hasn't trained at all, and even Dave was unsure why, because apparently he looks healthy enough. So there's been no reason given for why he's not training. Brock Wright is coming off serious injury. Then after that, you've got Jackson Meeks, who's never been a tight end, and then there's just a whole lot of nothing. So maybe they are looking at more receivers because they're not going to be able to play as much 2 tight end as they were anticipating. Maybe there is something to that, but I'm shocked they've not bought more tight ends in yet to try, because that was supposedly what he wanted to do, run a lot of 2 tight ends, and I'm not sure. First for Ward and a 2027 third for Cleveland. Okay, that's fair. There is religious exemptions for the red shirt rule. Military service can be exempted too. That seems fair. Obviously, but I guess the military vets, Army, Navy, all that sort of stuff, that would apply. So, okay, if it is, I just didn't know. If it is, it's fair enough. Because I don't think it gains an unfair advantage, really. I know the prospects are older, but that can work 2 ways for teams. Like BYU, a lot of their prospects are older and less developed, which is no good for them against the younger types. So, but if they are going to make a religious exemption, then that's fine. Certainly, if they'll make a military exemption, then that is fine as well. And I'm sure there'll be other guys who, there'll always be somebody who breaks all the rules in terms of eligibility and stuff like that, and breaks the mould. So, yeah, I can't imagine it's a full blanket ban, for sure. But I guess it depends who it applies to. Lions Talk Live's in the building. Hope you're doing well, Dan. As always, love you, love the Jew crew. Love appearing with you every Tuesday. I'll should see you this Tuesday, hopefully. It'll be a good one, but hope you're having a great weekend, or had a great weekend. Robles goes, I think the fans are overhyping Gibbs. Yes, he's fast, quick. He still gets tackled with arm tackles, falls down with a hand on him. He needs more core strength and power. Probably is why he's doing the whole UFC stuff, but my worry is just I don't want to break him as a bell cow. I think we've been so hurt by injuries, like we're snake bitten, and just the thought of him being a bell cow week in, week out is just, I'm terrified he's going to get hurt, especially because we've not got that much after him in the depth chart either. But he's like everyone, he's got deficiencies, but again, he's still a very young player. He's not even reached his first he's not even reached his first veteran contract yet. He's still rookie, and he's still breaking every record available, so it's the next evolution in him. If he's going to be truly elite and worth $22 million a year or whatever it is they're projecting for him, he does need to show that he can be an every down back who can, bell cow the workload on his own. But I think he's got more than enough positives about him. But yeah, it's just a matter of proving he can do it on a full-time basis. But I think he can. But yeah, he's certainly not. No player is immune from. Every player has something they could improve on, for sure. So we'll see how he gets on there. Miles Kitselman and Zach Horton erasure at tight end. Hey, Zach Horton's a fullback. I will not have fullback erasure on here, DC Smithers. I'm going to flip that one back on you. Zach Horton is a fullback, and we love our fullbacks. So, yeah. Apparently Juice Scruggs is working as a fullback as well, so it looks like we are determined to take a fullback this year. And that would probably be that would be worthy. If you take Juice Scruggs as a fullback, then you've technically got an extra offensive lineman as well, but certainly I think the fullback will be back this year. Kitselman, you are right though, and Paul would hurt me for forgetting about Kitselman, so I apologise, Paul. But you know what I mean, like proven depth. There's not much proven depth there right now. Miles Kitselman is a rookie. And obviously Zach Horton's not really played for us, so there's a lack of starting snaps there. Let's say we'll change the peripheries a little bit. There's been games where Gibbs has been a non-factor. We still win. Yeah, he had that weird thing last year where he'd score 3 touchdowns in a game, then no touchdowns, then 3 touchdowns, then no touchdowns. It was really odd. Like the production came all or nothing, but. Again, the offensive line weren't the best last year either, so he did all that without really an offensive line as well, so if the offensive line's better, the consistency should come. You just don't rely on it. Just don't put him in for an entire drive, then make him pass protect as well. Like, he just looked genuinely gassed sometimes last year. I think we used him way too much, especially as we have Monty around. Like, they gassed him out. They'd use him for an entire drive and then bring him in on the third down pass protection, which is why his pass protection's so poor, because he's blowing out his arse. It's not fair on him, so they've got to be very careful with their usage of him. It's like with Hutch. You cannot afford to run them too far into the ground, otherwise you're shortening their careers. Penta goes, I hope we get to see UR Bernard this season. I mean, wouldn't that be great? I assume he's still hanging around with Philly. But he's got a long way to go yet. It's certainly one of those, there's one chance in 100 that he gets it right. I mean, I guess the odds are like that for most rookies, but, it would be fun to see him. And certainly, from where he's come from, you would like to see that. You'd like to see some more guys come over from this side of the pond. Obviously he's African and that, but you want to see as many pools of talent from as many places as possible, and if they can develop him, then good lord, they've got a good player on their hands. He's certainly got the athletic capability, but yeah, you're seeing more Nigerians come over, you're seeing more Brits come over. You're going to see another Brit come out of the draft next year, Peter Clark. He's a giant from London. the Temple tight end. He's one of the best tight ends in the country, but he's going to get drafted next year. So you're going to see more Brits in the NFL. Brits with grit, although that's my title. I'm the Brit with grit. He can get something else, but yeah, there's certainly more arriving. The standard of coaching is getting better over here, and more guys are getting collegiate scholarships over there. So you'll see more British guys coming through the ranks as well. No way we sign Gibbs to an extension. You franchise tag, save a lot of money. Let's do it that way. Yeah, I think my take on it. So at the minute, the top 2 running back contracts are $20 million a year. Saquon and Derrick Henry, I want to say. But as I've maintained, those 2 are just on 2-year deals. So it's just 2 years, $20 million apiece for both of them. It's not a long-term contract. If you're looking for the longer-term contracts for running backs, then you start at $16, $17 million a year over a long term. So I don't consider that $20 million to be a baseline because it's a short-term contract, so they shouldn't count. For me, if he's going to be asking for over $20 million a year, if he's going to want more than that, say $22 million a year, something like that, he's got to have a year been the bell cow. He's got to show, if you're going to pay $22 million a year for a running back, he has to show he can do it on his own. That would be the only thing with me. I love Jameer. I think he's absolutely amazing. But he's always had David Montgomery on the team with him to lighten the workload. This year, he's not going to have that. He is the number 1 undisputed guy. So, if I'm going to pay him so much money, I want to see that he can be that guy first. Because if you want to get Saquon money, if you want to get Derrick Henry money, you've got to be able to put an offense on your back and go, right, I'm going to carry you over the finishing line. So that would be my only thing. If the contract's going to be bigger, I would rather they wait and then pay him when he's shown he can do it as a running back 1 on his own. But I would pay him regardless. I wouldn't let him out the building. I would certainly tag him. I would, he's not wearing another team's colours. If I've got to pay a bit more money for waiting another year, so be it. But yeah, I would rather just wait and see that he can do it on his own. DC Smithers goes, I'm surprised the beat writers have Varkey ahead of Sailors at running back. We also forget Jabari Small and Kai Robichaux are on the roster. Yeah, I'm not, obviously, again, this is just lack of experience. When I say there's nothing behind Gibbs, this is talking about starting experience. I love Kai Robichaux. I was disappointed he didn't make the roster last year, but I think he had the injury worries. But you've certainly got some good young ones there. Obviously, with Varkey, they're just putting so much emphasis on his special teams work whilst conveniently forgetting that he's got no reps as a running back. And, the defense, and Dan Campbell sort of saying this offseason, it's like, well, he's great and all, but he's not got much experience as a running back, so there's only so much we can do in training with him. But you drafted him with no experience as a running back, and the only way he can get experience is by playing NFL football. There's no farm system he can go to. There's no loan system he can go to. The only way Sione Varkey is ever going to get experience is by playing. So after 3 years, you can't really be saying to me, we want to do more with him, but he's just not that experienced. It's like, you saw that this was coming. You knew this was coming. So I don't get it. But the Beat are absolutely obsessed with his special teams usage. And I'm like, okay, it's impressive. The special teams stuff is impressive. There are probably, at least 60, 70 other guys who were picked day 3 in that draft who will have impressive special teams resumes. It's what day 3 guys are in the NFL draft for the large majority. They're going to be ace special teamers. But we gave up multiple picks for R1. There will be a lot of teams who paid a lot lesser picks who've got guys who've done special teams like Varkey has. It's like, you can't sit there and tell me his lack of experience is stopping him getting more usage in camp, because you knew it. And you knew he was going to get no more experience unless you played him, and you've refused to play him. So you saw a problem, you didn't address it, and now you're complaining it's a problem. Like, I don't know what else to say on the matter with him. It's like, yeah, you knew he wasn't experienced. You knew he was going to be a project there. Eventually, you're going to have to pull the trigger on him. Because if he doesn't work this year, you've got to get rid of him, really. Because you can't just afford to carry him on the roster for special teams work. We're past that. You know, that's all this roster was when Dan Campbell arrived. It was guys who played in the first team who were just special teamers and nothing more. And we were held back by those guys for years. You don't want to be that team again. So you created this problem with Varkey. So just throw him in and see what he can do. At this point, you've got nothing to lose. And what's the depth chart there? You've got Pacheco in front of him. Like, just put him out there with the first. See what he can do and throw him in. And if he sinks, he sinks. So be it. But that's why the beat writers have him there, because a lot of them have just stuck their necks on the line for him because everyone's complaining about Holmes as trade-ups. And now it's kind of a hill people are dying on, like trying to defend the trade-ups and the picks used and stuff like that. That's why there's a lot of defence there for him. But, you know, again, in terms of, we've had chances to use him and we haven't, so that kind of says something. People underestimate how important JMO is to our offensive structure. The way he pulls the defense creates mismatches for ARSB. I love how the offense is built. JMO, ARSB, Tesla, Laporta gives. People outside of Detroit don't underestimate how big JMO is for us. I love him. I do love him to death. And he is important for us. Like, as soon as we... You know, the fact that we've opened his game up now to more than just downfield stuff, is the sky's the limit for him. It really is. The only thing that's going to cap him here is, as you said, there's so many mouths to feed. So, you know, if he was a legit wide receiver one on another team, he would be getting some special yardage. And you put him on the Bills or something, Jesus, his numbers would go crazy. But I certainly don't underappreciate him or underestimate him. Like, he is, as you said... He's the bread to Amon-Ra's butter. Those two just make this thing work, and you can do so much with him. And hopefully Petsing this year really fully utilises JMO in all aspects of his games. You've got to manufacture touches for JMO because special stuff happens when the ball's in his hand. So, yeah, I absolutely love him, and certainly do not underappreciate him. Aside from Gibbs, Sailors looks very smooth in OTA drills. Yeah, I think Sailors is one of those. He's earned his opportunity. Like, he's done more than Varkey has in terms of delivering with the first team as a returner and bits like that. Like, he's earned his opportunity, so I would at least like him to get a good shot in preseason. You know, some good carries to see what he can do, see if he can do enough to convince them to carry on the roster. So... I'm with you. I would like to say he would be the number 3 guy for the time being. In terms of, I think he'll contribute more as a first teamer right now, or at worst, he's very good competition for Varkey. Like, he's the guy where Varkey's like, okay, you know, I've got to roll my socks up now and get to work because this guy's going to have my position if not. So it is not a bad thing to have Jacob Sailors on this team for damn sure. Just hopefully they all go at it. There, I think Sailors jumps Pacheco. It depends what sort of Pacheco we see. I mean, Pacheco's, it's just what have the injuries done to him. And weirdly enough, I don't know if he's not been there or not, but I've not heard Pacheco's name mentioned at all so far, really, in OTAs or that. It's been radio silence about him, although I must admit I've not read the most, but usually you pick up a vibe, you hear things. I've just not heard any vibe around him this year, so whether they're taking it easy with him because of the injuries or not. There is a world where it could happen if Sailors nails down that return role and gets some kicks, whereas he might be your second sort of guy or your 2B or whatever, depending on the situation. It's certainly an open competition, though, as far as... Like, Varkey could get running back 2 if he tried hard enough. Like, I think that running back 2 slot is still open to be... You know, it's still open, and you've got to just let them go with it, but you've got to give them a chance. So running back is one of the ones that I'm really interested in terms of preseason, seeing how these players do and how they get on, because again, it's a depth place where we need to see some. We need to see someone stand out. It's like with the tight ends. If one of the younger tight ends could really stand out, that would be tremendous. It would just help with us so much. How is Eric Hunter doing? E40, the guy. He's doing all right from what I've read. Obviously, Eric Hunter will excel when he gets into pads. Like, his athletic stuff is fine, and I know there's been some nice stuff said about him so far. Like, I think he's done what's expected of him, which is a good thing. Like, he'll be where he's at, but I think you'll hear Hunter's name more when the pads come on, because that's where he's a difference maker, and that's where he thrives. Like, he's one of those who he sort of, maybe not fully look the part sometimes, but when he's in pads and he's playing, he certainly does look the part. So yeah, he's been all right so far. No, he's not been like Malcolm where like people are raving so far, but I know there's been more nice comments than not said about him. But yeah, certainly wait for training camp. I would expect you to start hearing E40's name a lot more there, and I still expect him to make the roster. I've not put it this way, I've not heard anything or seen anything that's made me lose my belief that he's going to make the 53. Kareem Hunt beat out Pacheco in KC. We signed him for $1 million. I don't understand the hype. Pacheco's hype is in can he be that first 2-year guy where he went for back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Obviously, it's the injury. It's like them all. It's potential value against what you're paying him is like he could be one of the biggest steals in the NFL, but there's a reason why you're getting that sort of value. It's like betting on a horse at 60-1 as opposed to betting on the favourite at 4-1. Like, yeah, the 60-1 horse has a chance, but there's a reason he's a 60-1 horse and that no one's betting on him. Because he's got obvious deficiencies that stand in his way, and Pacheco's is his injuries. And the way we play football, like, you have to be really durable to succeed here, so... Well, like, he could be great. He could be a non-factor here. I'm not going to make any predictions about it yet at all, but, it's certain he's not the guy he was. If we get the guy he was, though, it could be one of the signings of the season. And it essentially gives you a 1A, 1B situation at running back again, because he can lead the line on his own, if need be. It's just, again, you don't want to put that much pressure on him with the injuries and that's happened. But, I agree a bit. It is a little overhyped, but at the same point, I think he is underestimated a little bit as well, because people have just forgotten how good he was 2 years ago. So, we will see. The UDFA corners seem to be okay. Amaris Brown made some plays. He did. And now that's going to be a position where we're open for business. If Terrion Arnold's gone, that's a space opened up on the roster. So Amaris Brown, Deshaun Rucker, like these guys their chances have just gone up a little percentage of being able to make it if they have a good camp and that. So it's land of the free and all that sort of stuff. You create an opportunity for yourself, you take it and go for it. So, I don't think I've really heard much bad about the UDFA so far. They seem to have done well, but obviously no rookie minicamp. That is why we've not heard as much either, and less OTAs than usual. The only people this affects negatively, because I know we're trying to protect the team from injuries and that, but it does affect the rookies because they need every opportunity they can to shine. So, but yeah, I've heard of Amaris Brown's doing well as well, but I won't put it past Rucker either. I think Rucker's a great corner, so we shall see what they do. Keep your questions coming. We've made it up to an hour so far, which has been pretty decent. I wondered how this would be received on a Sunday, but we are doing good. As mentioned, it is Terrion's day in court tomorrow, so we will wait and see what happens with that one there. But in terms of other Lions news, it has been, obviously we're in dead part of the year right now. There's not there's not a lot going on, so I don't really have much to talk about. I know they've they've interviewed Aleem. Aleem says he feels like he's back to 100% now, which is great because we're going to need him to be 100% next year. I can't wait to get him back. Same with Malcolm. I can't wait to see Malcolm back again. I think those two are they're gonna remind people just how good they were before their injuries and how much better we are with them. So yeah, looking forward to seeing them both back again. Where were we? There. Do I follow off-season rankings? No. In what regards? In terms of depth charts? Just to be a bit more specific. If you're talking about like NFL power rankings and stuff like that, I try not to. Like the off-season's such a... Because again, I don't know anything about the other teams and what they're doing. Obviously, you've seen what their drafts are and like, but if you're not really intimately involved with what's going on with them, then it's really tough. And I don't think there's too much you can take away from from off seasons and bits like that to take away from. I mean, obviously, you see player rankings and stuff like that. Jared Goff is always getting disrespected. I know that much. And obviously it's content this time of year. A lot of off-season content is designed for clicks and stuff like that. So I'm always wary as to what the actual rankings and that are there. So I tend not to follow off-season rankings so much, but I will always give them a little look just to see what people are saying. But I mean, in terms of us, I've not really seen anything. Is there anything about us that people are saying that you particularly mean by this? Why will it not let me scroll to the bottom of my screen? I can't see the chat. Let us try and get back there. There we go, I can see Jonathan's comment. I'm interested to see the DT spot with McNeil coming back from injury and Levi. Yeah, DT is one of those positions that could be awesome next year. I mean, obviously a healthy Aleem is the critical thing, but as you say, Tyleek's going to be... I was very impressed with what I saw from Tyleek last year. He's had his year to bed in now. He's going to be that run stuff in defensive tackle we need. You've got Aleem, who's going to hopefully be kind of the centerfold, the guy who can do both. If you can get a healthy Levi Onwuzurike, and don't forget you've got Skylar Gill-Howard as well. You've got a lot of pass rushing options from the defensive tackle area that you've just not had in recent years. Like, this could be our best group of pass rushing D tackles we've ever had under Dan Campbell before. And that's what we need. We need to take the pressure off the edges, because all the talk about edge 2 and getting the pressure off the edge and all that sort of stuff, it would make life a lot easier if more pressure came through the interior. And the fact that we've now got actual specialists in there gives me cause for optimism. So I'm with you. It could be a deep group as well. So you can keep these guys all really fresh. Obviously, if Meki Wingo decides to try and make a third-year push, that'd help as well. But I think it's in quite a healthy position, actually. Like you say, it's just dependent on, again, injuries like everywhere else. But let's just theoretically say these guys are all healthy and they, suffer the average amount of injuries for a season, but nothing too serious. It could be one of the better groups. It could be a top 10 DT group, easy. Easy beans. We've just really missed Levi because we drafted him to be that pass rushing 3-tech, which we've just never really had. And Aleem can do it, but Aleem's meant to do a bit of both, and he's heavier, so I like specialists. So I'm very bullish about what they all should be healthy going into next year. So no reason why they can't hit the ground running straight away, and the camp battle should be intriguing as well. Having a guy like Skylar Gill-Howard in there will push people up, and Meki Wingo's in Last Chance Saloon. He might not even make the 53, so he's got to give everything he's got left if he wants to make the roster, because there's every chance he just might not make it at all. So that depth battle on the D tackle group is going to be interesting too, because it's just going to be dog eat dog. So I'm with you, Jonathan Antony. I'm really interested to see what happens there, but I think whatever happens, it's going to be good. Raw goes, news on Damone Clark has been quiet. Fans underplay why he was let go from Dallas. They had a great secondary. He was a pass coverage specialist, and they need run-stopping linebackers, which made him expendable. Yeah, and he's also had a rotten injury history as well, which doesn't help either. But, potentially Damone Clark. Like, a linebacker's another group where we need depth guys. There's going to be a fierce fight in there as well, but see, Hunter's speciality is his coverage, so Hunter's going to come in and give everyone a run for that coverage job as well. So, and then obviously Malcolm's coming back. It could be very intriguing, but it's certainly like there's not a lack of options there. So, Damone Clark could do something for sure. Obviously, he just needs to make sure he stays healthy, but the coverage linebacker spot is up for grabs. So, the more bodies we have in that conversation, the better. Rankings question was a general one. Lions and their players seem to fall in the middle. NFL Daily has ARSB 7th after JJ, Chase, JSM, Puka, Nico, and Lamb. I mean, it's all subjective, isn't it? I mean, Amon-Ra, you look at all those names on a one-by-one basis, and you're like, oh, well, they're all certainly on par with Amon-Ra. It's tough. You're like, that would be the absolute lowest. There are no other names in the NFL I will put above Amon-Ra St. Brown. But he's always going to be hit with that. He's a slot receiver type. Like, I don't know why, but it's, he has this image that he's a manufactured touch guy who plays in the slot, which is just a lie. Like, he plays like 35-40% of his snaps on the outside. He's not a slot merchant by any means. But it's just this overbearing narrative people have about him. And the impact he's had on this team, like if you're talking about MVP receivers, I could argue that he's had, maybe outside of Puka, and JJ's going in the Hall of Fame, so maybe not to have this conversation, but I think maybe after JJ and Puka, and possibly Smith and Jigba because he's won a Super Bowl, there's not been many more valuable players to their teams. Amon-Ra is absolutely essential to our team. You lose him, Jesus, we're a much worse team without him. So I'd say he'd certainly be higher than 7th or 8th in terms of actual value to the team. But obviously rankings are always subject. Rankings are designed to develop conversation and to get clicks and stuff like that. I think so few people genuinely do it with their actual thoughts in hand. But I'll always have a little look because I love talking trash on Twitter. So if I see something I don't like, I am one of those people. I will bite if I see something that that triggers me. So I'm probably just as guilty as anybody else. But I'd say that's fair for Amon-Ra, 7th, 8th. But he's certainly in the conversation with all those guys. Like, you can't just say they're all outright better than him because they're not. And I mean, he's on what? Let me just have a little look where he's at right now, because he's about to go, if I remember rightly, about 4th all-time in Lions receiving yards, which is just nuts, considering some of the receivers we've had. But you've got 4 seasons in a row of 1,000 yards. He's never had less than 900 yards in a season. I mean, what are we at? 6,252 yards after 5 years. Twice an All-Pro, or 3 times an All-Pro, but twice a first-team All-Pro. His numbers are insane. Like, they really are. People just look at the yards per reception. It's 11.4 and they go slot merchant. It's like, no, it's not. He is a comfort blanket for Goff, but he's the guy he's a chain mover. And chain movers are just as valuable as deep threat guys. Like, so many teams struggle by not having a chain mover, a safety blanket for their quarterback, and you can see. So he's, like, let's see where he ranks. I swear he's He's on the cusp of getting really high. Yeah, he's 4th all time for Lions, and he's been here 5 years. He's gonna pass Johnny Morton this year. He's only about 250 yards behind. Then he's behind Calvin and Herman, who are, one's in the Hall of Fame, one should be in the Hall of Fame. But give it what, he's on pace in less than 3 years. He'll be above Herman Moore if he carries on at the pace he's at. Hell, at a stretch, it might be 2 if he really goes nuts. To think he'll have only been in the league 7 years, and he'll be our 2nd all-time leading receiver, would be nuts. But it's a very talented list. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think 7th is a decent spot for him. Do the Lions need a nose tackle? No. I love nose tackle. I'm a big nose tackle guy. I believe that every team should have a nose tackle. But we invested a 1st round pick in Tyleek. So Tyleek is, I'm not saying he is a nose tackle, but given we play a 4-man front as well, and nose tackles in 4-man fronts are not really a thing. So we don't really play 3. So our need for one is not so great. Obviously, if we didn't have Tyleek, I would love one. I do love a good nose tackle. But as the roster is constructed now, it's Tyleek's job. And he should really be the one doing that. And Aleem can do a little bit as well, because Aleem's got the bulk. So you can get by without one. So, no, I don't think we do need a nose tackle. But I love nose tackles. So if we did, I probably wouldn't complain. But no. Tyleek's that guy. Tyleek's going to fill that role this year. He's going to fill the Reader role. And that'll be that. As I say, we don't play enough 3-man fronts to justify one. Unless you find a very rare pass rushing nose tackle, but I think only like Vita Vea exists in the NFL, and that's it. They're so rare. So rare. No, we don't need a nose tackle. We run a 4-3, not a 3-4, just like we don't need an edge. An edge is an outside linebacker in a 3-4. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we don't play enough. Like, I think we could certainly benefit from playing a 3-4, but I think you've got the personnel to play a 3-4 as well. You know, you play in an ideal situation. You play Tyleek, you play Aleem, and you play Levi as your 3 there. I mean, how great would that be? That would be a tremendous. And then having Hutch and Hassanin coming off the edge, like guys, or Hutch or Barnes, and then having a blitzing linebacker come up through the middle. Also, Eric Hunter could do that, but yeah, I would like to see them use a 3-4 more, but apparently that's not the way we're going. So, but I think nose tackles are major underrated, especially when it comes to the draft. Like they're just so criminally underrated. It's not even funny. I will always appreciate a good nose tackle. Give me a good nose tackle over a good defensive tackle any day. I just love the job they do and what they're all about. If Abney has to be a starter, would you rather he start at nickel or outside? I am a fan of playing players where they play in college. I don't like moving players around. Keith Abney has been a boundary corner his entire career for Arizona State. And the reason he succeeds is because, especially when he's playing in press, like, it's so hard for guys to get a beat on him. He's so physical and he's so aggressive at the line of scrimmage that he can dominate there, which means players can't hit him downfield. Like, he gets up in their grill, makes life uncomfortable for them, disrupts their routes. Like, I think he can survive as a boundary corner in the NFL. I hate putting labels on guys. Like, he's never played slot. And just because of his size, it's like, oh, well, he's a slot guy at the next level. Like, you may as well draft a specialist slot corner if you're not going to, instead of playing Abney there. I'm just a big fan of playing them where they play in college, and I don't like moving them because it so very rarely works. It's like, what's the point? I know the value was there, but you've got a big opening at outside corner now. Play Keith Abney there. You know, play him there. Do what you need to do. Why do you think Goff has a low ADOT? Interesting. I mean, let's have a look at what it says. Always best to consult the data here, just to make sure we can back it up. Where have we got A-dots? A-dots in his career is 7.6. I mean, weirdly enough, it's gone down every year he's been in Detroit. Started at 7.6, then down to 7.3, then down to 7.2, then down to 7 last year. I think it was so poor last year because our offensive coordinator, because Bob Morton, Bob is my made-up name for him, but yeah, Bob Morton just had no clue what to do. He was very vanilla with his attack. There was just a lot of short stuff, a lot of, no opening up the field, using their guys down there. I think it's scheme-based, a lot of it. We've never been an air raid team that likes to chuck it down the field all the time. We like to run screens. We like to get it in the hands of our playmakers. We love to run after the catch because we've got such athletic linemen. You throw it short, you allow them to get out as perimeter screen blockers, all that sort of stuff. That's how we've done a lot of our best plays. I think the scheme is the reason that it's so low. I think if you asked him to sort of stand and deliver, he would. I always remember the Buffalo game on Thanksgiving that we nearly lost. He absolutely torched that Buffalo team. Like, he was just throwing the ball night and day into tight gaps all over, short, long, intermediate, whatever he wanted. He was hitting whatever he wanted because they kind of just went gung-ho, we've got to go like for likes with a really good offense. So he can do it. But certainly scheme plays are part of it. We have big athletic linemen that we love to get downfield blocking. But to do that, you can't be chucking the ball 30, 40 yards. You've got to allow time for the play to develop, so you throw it short. And a lot of times we've done it to our detriment, especially now Ben's not here. We can't throw in the odd trick play anymore. I don't think it says anything about Jared Goff, really. I think it says everything about our scheme. And like I say, he can have some games where he just goes absolutely nuts, Goff does. It'd be interesting to see that Buffalo game, see where it ranked. Where do we go? We've got a 12. The Houston game where he threw 5 picks, he was throwing at 12. That's not a good indicator of anything, really. Didn't go above 10 during the 23. I might be making this up here. Was it in 2022 then we played them? There's that Buffalo game. Oh no. Well, I must be misremembering things. Yeah, it's been short all the time he's been here. But yeah, scheme, I think. I wouldn't mind him airing it out a bit more and going hell for leather with it. I think he can. So, yeah, it's just how it is. And Goff works better when he's got the efficient play like that. Not all offense needs to be sexy. You see it with the Bills. The Bills' offense scores too quickly, so the defense is always gassed. It looks pretty. It looks great in theory, but it never quite works because the defense can't keep up with it. So yeah, that for me is why it's a little bit low. Right, I think we've caught up with all the comments and questions for now. If you've got anything else you want to put in there, just keep going with it. Again, appreciate you all joining me on this Sunday evening. Just having a little look round to see if there's anything else noteworthy to chat about while we're here. As I say, we are in deepest, darkest off-season at the moment, so it's really really tough to come up with natural speaking points. Where were we? We had rankings on which injuries were worst for the Lions last year, which I thought was depressing. When you've got that many injuries that you can do rankings on how bad injuries were to the team last year, that is always a tough one. Although I will say the one thing, I saw someone, I want to say it was someone from 97.1 commented that this whole Terrion thing has signalled the downfall of Dan Campbell's regime here, and it's like, I don't know how you can attribute what Terrion Arnold has done to Dan Campbell. Dan's not masterminded this whole damn thing. It's it's a shame, but what is going to happen with Terrion? What he's done is wrong, and he needs to be punished, and all that sort of stuff there. But there is a bigger agenda here. Like there is an underlying agenda now against Brad and against Dan, and you can bet your bottom dollar this is their first round pick who is potentially really busted and is not going to do much for us. That makes him a prime target for everybody who hates this regime, and you're going to see some really wacky stuff put out as a result of this. So again, yeah, not absolving Terry on here, but you're going to see some things about this being Dan's fault, Brad's fault. You can't legislate for stuff like this. It happens sometimes. Sometimes you make the wrong pick, and he didn't come to the combine or anything screaming, I'm going to do all this, I'm not going to get involved in this big armed robbery thing when I get into the NFL. You just do not know. Gaviscon goes, I've lost all faith in Brad to do his job, got the Titans. I mean, I will always listen to an argument. Always. I believe everybody should, have their right to an argument. That I still believe in Brad. I do. I do think this year is very important, though. I'm more so than others. A lot of people are happy that the window is really big. I think this year is the most important year by far. And I guess we can talk about this now because it is what it is. But you're 2 years removed, or hang on, let's see, 1, 2, 3. You're 3 years removed from your last playoff win. Obviously, your last 2 seasons you have not been. Like, this whole build from Brad and Dan is predicated on grit, on the underdog mentality, and all that sort of stuff. But to have a culture, the only way you can keep a culture is by winning. And ultimately, the only way you can keep a culture full stop is by winning a Super Bowl. Winning is not enough. We've seen Buffalo, Baltimore, these teams that have won for years, but they've never made it to a Super Bowl. Their coaches are bye-bye. Some of their GMs, bye-bye. They're gone. And I think it's very tough to excuse a third year of not making the playoffs or not winning a playoff game. Winning 15 games and losing in the first round of the playoffs this year is not acceptable. That would be a terrible year for us, because you've got to start making waves towards the playoffs. And this is the real acid test now for Brad and Dan. Are you willing to maybe move away from your roots a little bit just to get yourself there? If you're struggling a little bit before the deadline, are you going to shift some assets? Are you going to sort of push the chips in a little bit and go for it? Because it's all right, everyone's saying that our window is long and that we're going to be good for a very long time, and it's fine. That is an acceptable argument. On the flip side, I would say to you, the players are humans. You see this with the other Detroit teams right now, and this is what got me thinking about it. Obviously, the Red Wings, Dylan Larkin has said, I'm off. I can't be arsed with this no more. I mean, obviously, they've not been to the playoffs in 10 years. He's spent his entire career not winning, which is a more extreme example of what our guys will be here. But basically, he's grown fed up with the lack of progress there, and he's gone ski. You look with the Tigers, Tariq Skubal, probably heading out of town. Well, one, you could say because of his agent, etc., but the team have not put enough in place for them to win there, and they've kind of skirted these playoff runs. They've skirted obvious issues with the team. The Tigers knew what was wrong with that team even after getting to the playoffs last year, and they did absolutely nothing about it this year. They're hitting, and as shown, it's been really bad for them this year. How long will our players stay happy if they're not winning? And no one's taking this into consideration when they talk about the long window. Guys like Penny, guys like Amon-Ra, our core players, it's all very well saying they're wedded to the grit mentality and they're wedded to Detroit, but eventually they're going to start getting frustrated if you don't start getting towards the Super Bowl. Everybody wants to win a ring, and 3 years of not making the playoffs, and that's where, going back to the original point of Brad's and Dan's plan, it's built on the culture here, and I don't know if the culture can survive a third year without serious questioning if you don't win a playoff game this year. I think we're going to start to see players then start to get unsettled, and they're not going to stay happy forever, and that's what the beat will have you believe. Oh yeah, we've got a window open for 8 years, so we can do nothing for the next 7 years and we'll be fine. No, you'll lose all your best players, then you'll have to rebuild. So this is a very, very big year for me. I still believe in Brad, I still believe in Dan. This is the year where that either continues or whether I really start to waver about it. But I've certainly not lost all faith in Brad yet, but if you have, kudos to you. That's your point of view, and I can understand it. People are frustrated, but I would give it one more year before I really start pushing the panic button yet, especially with the schedule we've got this year and the teams we're playing against. If you can't do it this year, then you're in a lot of bother. So, but I think we will. I say all the doom and gloom. I'm just talking worst case scenario this year, but this year is the big one for them. And don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking the big window's going to save us. It's not. It really isn't. Because these players are human and they want to win. And they will start getting frustrated sooner rather than later. Given how young that interior of the O-line is, how long do you think it will take to gel? I mean, all subjective at this point. All I would say is, there's two scenarios here. One, it takes a long time because obviously new centre. It's only his second year as a centre. He's not a fully established veteran yet. It would be better if he was a veteran who played 3 or 4 years there. The left guard spot is undecided. Maybe they work by committee. There's no outstanding starter there and they keep swapping it around, and Tate has sort of the second year jitters that some players have after having a good first year. Like, it could take a long time to gel. It might never gel is the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, I would say, is Tate Ratledge already looks like a seasoned pro. I thought his first year was tremendous outside of a couple of games. Welcome to the NFL games, but overall, I've got no worries about him whatsoever. I think he's going to be absolutely fine. Cade Mays, young, up-and-comer, on a better team, better talent round him, settles into the team pretty quickly, and Christian Mahogany stays healthy and nails down that left guard spot. He's played for the last 2 years for us, so it could gel very quickly at the same point. I know it seems like a cop-out answer to go, but those are the best and worst case scenarios. I think for me, you will fall in between the two. I think it would take... when's the bye? The bye is week 5 or 6. We got an early bye this year, don't we? Certainly not a long one because we don't get good byes ever. Apart from that 1 year. Can I just have this year's one, pretty please? That would be nice. The bye is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before the bye. I would like to think that when you come back from that bye, you'll be good on the offensive line. Because obviously, you talk about the interior, but the tackles need to adjust as well. That entire line needs to adjust. But in terms of any inexperience that the middle might have, I think they've got to be going after the bye. 5 games is more than enough, and you've got some easier teams in there to bed yourself in against. So that's where I think we'll go. I would say that'll be week 7 when you come off the bye, because that's when we've got that run of games at home. And then obviously we've got the Germany game as well. But we've got like 4 and 5 at home. So if they're sort of ready and going for that, we're at Ford Field for the best part of a month, uninterrupted. That would be a great position to have them gel by then, because then you're gonna win a lot of games, and you're gonna win a lot of games comfortably, and then hopefully by the end of the season you're on full cylinders, firing and ready to go. So yeah, I'll say week 7. With that. Gavis Congo goes, I'll explain. Every speech he does 90 last 2 drafts abysmal. Love Dan, Brad has to go. The 24 draft is obviously not shaping up to be good. Again, at point of fairness, the drafts always get 3 years. Worst case scenario is the 24 draft flames out and none of them are starters. We're still at the point Rakestraw could still theoretically make a comeback into the team. Varkey could step up to running back 2. Manu could become a good part of the rotational line there. Mahogany could be our left guard for the next 6-7 years. It's not a lost hope yet. It just requires an awful lot to go right, which is more not likely than it is likely, but I can understand people's frustrations with it. And obviously, you know, these draft guys, the development guys, them not developing has caused us issues with depth, but I'm not willing to write it off just yet, but I can understand the thinking. 2025 draft, I think, is fine. Don't forget, these players were designed to not have to start right away. Like, for me, the 25 draft was nearly perfect. Tyleek didn't have to start right away, which meant we could adapt him to the position. And you saw how well he played when he did. I thought we got the timeline spot on with him. Ratledge was superb for me at right guard, outside of the Philly game. I thought he was superb for the most part, played really well. Tesla didn't need to be a lead-off guy right away. He had a smaller workload and made the most of it. He's now, like, they're developing him at good rates. So now they're all primed, or Tyleek and Tesla are now primed to take bigger roles on the team because they've been developed at a good rate and they'll become good players now. So, you know, I think that 25 class is going to be good when all's said and done. I think they smashed it out of the park year one. We don't need these guys to be instant starters right away now. Not like we did in 21 and 20 when the team was shite. You know, we need guys who will develop their way into the team and replace pieces. And that's what these guys have done. You know, we didn't need to pay DJ Reed a 10 more million a year because Tyleek's ready to take that spot now. We didn't need to pay Khalif because Tesla's going to take that third spot right now. So that's ideally how it works. It's just the 24 one is really killing us right now. The 24 one is really killing us because it's screwed our secondary. But it's not an entire lost cause just yet. I think last year's draft was also bad. Overpaid for more and rolled. Oh, you mean 26? Yeah. Don't forget 25's in there, but 26 again, we don't know. We've not seen a single one of these guys pay now. I agree. I didn't like the move for Rolder, but Rolder's playing really well in camp at the moment, and I know it's just camp, but early days. We will see with it. We've got to wait for these guys to take the field first and see what's what. You can't praise Brad for 2023. The Packers were all top. The picks were all top 40. I mean, we can. I remember when, you know, Bob Quinn couldn't pick in the top 40. Like, you know, so many GMs can't pick in the top 40. It's so shocking. Like, I know it should be the bare minimum for a GM to pick a good player in the top 40, but the fact is it's the NFL and a lot of them can't do it. So, and you know, Brad went against consensus and positional values for these guys in the top 40. So, you know, I think you have to give him some credit for that, but you have to give the team credit for developing him as well. But he's a good scout. I don't think there's any doubt in that he's a good scout. So, you know, and 23's class has had 3 years now. After 3 years, that class is excellent, so we can say it's excellent. In 12 months, if the 24 class flames out, we can absolutely roast it as so rightly. So there will be fairness on both. There will be consistency here. But obviously 23's class has had that extra year for us to make the final judgment on it. So, you know, that's where I'm at with it. Anyhow, cornerback 1 and running back 2 needs more depth. Yeah, it does. Like I say, we're going to have to start looking at trade proposals. For me, if Terrian's done, you want to start looking at trade proposals and seeing if someone's ready to sell. Because there'll always be somebody. There'll always be somebody who'll sell before a season who decides, oh, our team's not quite good enough, we're going to tank the next year, or we're not going to take it seriously. Again, like Denzel Ward, if the Browns just run into problems at quarterback and can't figure out what's going out there, they might go, you know what, we'll get rid of him, or we need that money for something else. But cornerback 1 does need investment, particularly through trade, potentially. I don't think you can afford to wait for next year's draft. You've got to do something now for sure even if it's just a band-aid, you've got to put a good band-aid on it for the time being. And I agree, running back 2, I would still like to see another running back brought in. One who's quite experienced, a veteran who could do some pushing. Because I still think they could benefit from getting pushed. I don't know if there's anyone left on the market who is worth it. Think who have we got? You've got Joe Mixon, you've got Najee Harris, you've got Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson. Nick Chubb is still out there, but I don't know whether the injuries have screwed him or not. You've got Kareem Hunt, you've got Alexander Matheson. He always used to be a pain in the arse against us. Maybe we could use him there as well. Any U of M's, Hassan Haskins is out there. Who would we say on that list? I mean, I've always liked Najee. It's just the injury worries. It's kind of like bringing in another version of Pacheco, and you kind of want someone who's got less of an injury history. And on that list, Mixon's just been hurt. Najee Harris has been hurt. Austin Eckler's definitely been hurt. Nick Chubb sure as hell has been hurt. Mostert's been hurt, and he's 34 now as well. Kareem Hunt's been hurt. Miles Sanders is still available. Maybe if you want to... I think you would like to try and bring in a bit more. Khalil Herbert's actually available. I always used to think that Khalil Herbert was dreadfully mismanaged by the Chicago Bears. Like, he played well for them, and then they just got rid of him. But there is a player in there, so... yeah, it's... I do agree. Running back 2 does need more depth for me, and I'm not happy with that. Jose Zamora goes, what do you guys think of Ennis Rakestraw? I think he's a bust, truly. My whole thing with Rakestraw, and as much as you want him to come back, and again, I will say this again and again and again. In fact, let me just get it up so I can prove the point. But it's the distance between him and football played. So, and obviously obviously all the stuff with the body and how it reacts. So the last time he played consecutive football, or when he played multiple games together, Florida, Missouri 2023, where are we? Just have to get my stats going here. 19th of November 2023. That was the last time he completed back-to-back full games of football. 2023. Because I know he's only been in the league 2 years, but because you have basically like an 8-month break between seasons, by the time you add in the break before he gets to the NFL and the break that you have until the start of this year, November 2023 is the last time Ennis Rakestraw played anything regarding regular football. 3 years out of the game. Now, I get you play to stay in shape, you train, you do your strength and conditioning and stuff like that. Nothing prepares your body for NFL football better than NFL football. And the longer you're out of NFL football, the harder it is for your body to be able to deal with it. And these are the issues we've seen. The durability, the longer he doesn't play, the more hurt he gets, the less a chance he's got of coming back. And off the top of my head, I can't think of many players, statistically, who have gone basically 3 years without professional football who have then returned and been any good. And it's not just the fact that we, to be slightly good, we need Ennis Rakestraw to be a starter to recoup the value that we got from him. And I'm just going by the tale of time here. He could become good. Who knows? But statistically, the odds are just not on his side. Again, when you have not played professional football in so long and your body, as much as you want to train it, it's just not prepared for the rigmarole of actual football, for the actual hits that are going to get laid down on you, the harder in games, more often in games. So I just think the odds of him coming back after so long are so low that I'm working with the stats on this one. And I'm not usually a stats guy, I'm a vibes guy, but the vibes I'm picking up are it's just not going to happen. And unfortunately, most of the vibes times have been proven right, especially with the injury guys. After 1 year, I said Mosley was cooked. Everyone kept giving him chances. We gave him 3 and it didn't work. Julian Aquara called him cooked after 1 year. He was, because he just wasn't playing. It's just, I've seen so many examples of it with the Lions now. You know, Deshaun Hand, Kerry and Johnson, guys like that. Guys, just for years and years and years, we have lost because injuries have just held them back. And this is serious. So, you know, I don't want to call him a bust. I really don't. And if he doesn't work out, I don't think he's a bust. Injuries, I can forgive players. I don't call them busts if they've been injured their entire career. Injuries have robbed them. It's not like he's played and he's been bad. It's just he's been hurt. And I don't like to call players like that busts when it's not really their fault. It's their body's fault. I would just say a miss. But I think that's likely the way that we go with it. So, obviously, hope he proves me wrong. I really do, but I'm going with the stats on this one. The stats don't support him at all. Brad gave 2 acceptance speeches while the draft was going on last year. Your patience is great, but I'm out. I just like to think I'm very... I like to think I'm... don't know what the word is here. I'm not a homer. I like to try and think I'm realistic. I guess I'm a much more critical, and people have saying I'm a bit more critical recently. I'm not. It's just we're in year 6 now. I'm holding the team to standards in year 6 now. Like, this isn't the second year of a big rebuild. Like, the first 3 years of this build, I asked nothing of Brad apart from to draft well and develop this team. I asked nothing of this organisation whatsoever. And then as the years have gone by and the team has got more theirs, my expectations go up a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. Obviously, you get the good playoff run, get to the NFC Championship game, that's great. The next year, you win 15 games, you've still done something, that's great. Last year's the first real year where you failed. The first year of the build where you have not met expectations, or you have not done something different. So that's where I'm at. He's had 1 bad year for me out of the 5 so far. So that's why I'm like, okay, that's fine. You've had your bad year. Now we need to get back to where we were. And I'm trying to stay level on parity with this. And if they have another bad year this year, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be a lot more critical this time next year as well. You'll be on Last Chance Saloon. But I like to just try and think my expectations are base and realistic. But people look at it differently, you know, and my way's not right. It's just the way I look at it. But don't think I'm a homer for this or anything. Trust me. I feel like I complain more than any other guy on the pod at the minute, but it's just because I'm holding them to a higher standard. My standards go up year by year, as they should. The longer you get into a build, the higher your standards should get, and that's where I'm at here right now. Now we're going to go into the league with one of the youngest teams we've ever had, and my deep down fear is that if they don't do anything this year, we're going to get they're the youngest. They're one of the youngest teams in the league. They'll get better thrown at me. And that's not acceptable this year. I'm not going into year 6 of this project to be told the team's too young. You've deliberately done that. That is not an excuse. So I am not going to be listening to that this year. I am not... It doesn't ring with me. You've deliberately gone younger. That's your choice. That doesn't mean you still shouldn't be going to win a Super Bowl. And you absolutely cannot use it as an excuse. So, you know, my patience I like to think is realistic, but again, everyone is different. So, but mine is, you know, so long as you keep going forward, that's fine. But you got to go forward this year. Throw a dart that year and take 4 players. He claims he's a quarterback scout. Show me, fire him now. I think we could look at every single team in the NFL, and every team has trouble drafting one. I mean, let's forget Jeff wasn't his. So, you know, let's just have a look. Again, I feel like I should know these off by heart, but there's that much information to go through. But every team seems to struggle with that one position where they just can't get it right. And again, I still blame Matt Patricia for screwing over Darius Slay. But under the regime, I mean, they picked Iffy. Iffy got screwed by injuries and they tried to change his position, which was not good. But I remember the days that Iffy Artu Melifonwu was becoming a very good outside corner before that injury against Seattle really screwed him up. So you got Iffy in 21. You didn't take a corner in. Oh, you technically took Chase Lucas in the 7th on 22. We're going to give that a pass. You didn't take a corner in 23. You took Terrion and Ennis in 24. And that's it. Oh, you took Keith Abney this year. So when you actually think about it, if we want to say that Brad can't identify cornerbacks, he's not really drafted that many. Again, certainly with high picks, you've got Iffy, who got screwed by injuries as a 3rd round pick, Chase Lucas, who was a 7th round throwaway, and you've got Terrion and Ennis. Ennis has been screwed by injuries. I don't think that's Brad's fault, because he wasn't particularly injury prone in college, so it's not like we picked an absolute injury hack at college. He played a lot of football. And Terrion, I mean, you can't legislate for off the field issues like this. He had no red flags coming out of college, so that was tough there. And he's had the shoulder issues as well, so injuries have kind of screwed Terrion up as well. So I'm not absolving Brad from any blame, but I don't think it's a case of he's just straight up garbage at it, because he's drafted 4 guys. And injuries have screwed up 3 of them, and the other was a 7th round pick. I think if you want to say he's no good at getting free agent cornerbacks, that is a conversation we can have. He's had to pick up cheap guys who are injury prone because that's what his budget allows. So we could say that he struggled to find corner talent in free agency to back it up, but I think to say that he can't evaluate cornerbacks in the draft, just for me, 6 drafts, he's picked four corners. And again, I've just showed you what's happened to them. So obviously that 24 class will wear thin on him. And obviously Abney now you've got coming in. This is a big year, because he's not the type of corner they usually take. This is a bit of a move away. So if Abney hits, then maybe they've found something. That's where we're at. Grandizer's in the building. Hope you're well, Grandizer. He goes, just saw you live. Please don't start without me, lad. Sorry, I did this kind of... I decided I was going to do one today. I just didn't advertise it because I've been that busy at work. This is my first day off in like 11 days. So, and I'm spending it with you all. I could be chilling watching a film, but I thought, no, I'll come and spend it all with my my buddies online. So, appreciate you being here, but I did advertise it last minute. So, there we are. And I fought the battle for nearly forever for the whole bust versus disappointment titles when it comes to professional sports. There's always been a huge difference. Yeah, I think there is. I think there's performance-related busts and injury-related disappointments. That's maybe how you could categorize it. And some are a bit of both. Who knows? Who's the best DB on free agency right now? Ooh. Who is the best DB on free agency right now? Let's have a little look. And I will give you my honest opinion on this. So we had a look at the corners earlier. Let's have a look at safety. So on the safety market, we've got Jimmy Ward from Houston, Donovan Wilson, Harrison Smith, who's about 90, Xavier Woods, Taylor Rapp, Iffy. I wonder. I'm curious if he's healthy. No, maybe we shouldn't go down that route. Terrell Edmonds, Jordan Poyer, Jabril Peppers, for all the Michigan fans. Jamal Adams, probably not at the height of his powers now. Dion Bush, Jalen Mills, Mike Edwards. Cornerback, just to refresh ourselves, we've got Marshawn Lattimore, Trayvon Diggs, Jimmy Ward, Kenny Moore, Tre'Davious White, Jeff Okudah, Nasir Johnson, Rasul Douglas, Nick McLeod. It's not pretty. I mean, it's really tough. You're trying to find the right balance of young enough that they've still got something to give, or that they're that good that they could, even if they're a bit older, that they've still got a lot to offer. I mean, I think Donovan Wilson would have a good shout there. I think he's never been that bad for Dallas. I know he's projected to have a little bit of a bigger deal than the rest of them. Xavier Woods used to feel like one of those names that, like 2 or 3 years ago, every off-season I'd be saying we need to get him as a free agent, and we never did. But he's always been a solid vet over his entire career. Obviously, if we were talking about a younger Harrison Smith, I think Harrison Smith might be on there. But he's just way too old now. And we don't want to take that risk. Jordan Poyer would have been the same, but he's also very old now. I mean, take your pick, really. Maybe Kenny Moore. I do quite like Kenny Moore and what he's done. But then Trayvon Diggs does have age on his side, but, he's got the inconsistent play there. But I would probably say Kenny Moore, but I know a lot of people will rightfully disagree with me there. So, yeah, it's that is a tough one. I never get why it's so hard for some in the media and fans to get it right. The media I blame because they know better. Most fans may be ignorant to that. There's always agendas behind stuff. Always. And we're all guilty of it. Like, if a player you don't like gets injured, then that's an agenda thing there. You can use it as a negative thing. Like, we are all guilty. I'm guilty of that. Like, it's just what it is. But, yeah, I think there should always be more nuanced conversations about calling players busts and stuff like that. You've got to take a deep look into why. Might just be system. It might just be, there can be lots of things outside of a player's control which stop them from developing. So, you've got a very nuanced look at that. Gaviscon goes, the next excuse will be easy schedule, teams got better. I don't think it'll be an excuse. I don't think the team are going to roll. If the team don't have a good year this year, I think they'll start getting brutal. I would expect, not just me, but I don't think they'd roll around again. I think they'd make some big moves. I think you'd see some big names shifted if they don't do it again. But certainly there's no excuses this year. The schedule works for you. Brian Branch is the only player officially not starting the season right now. You don't know with Kirby and Laporta, but you are going to be about as healthy as you physically can. Like this time last year, there was no Aleem, no Rodrigo. There were a lot of players missing for the start of last year. No Pascal, no Levi. Like, they were all out. So you are healthier this year, and you've got a schedule that's not the worst in the world either. So, yeah, there are no excuses this year. Some people will try. And again, the young age, that's not an excuse either. You've got a young core that's getting paid a ton of money. They need to deliver. For the Finns, wide receiver Yatil Green would get that wrongful title of bust. He was injured every single year in camp. The talent was there, but was always hit with the season-ending injury in pre-season. Yeah, we're used to that here as well. And now we will beg to get Iffy back. Am I right? Iffy's such an intriguing conversation. I always thought the Lions screwed Iffy by changing his position. I remember Ifiatu Melifonwu pre that first injury. Yes, he'd had a bit of a dicky start to his corner days, but he was just starting to come good at corner. But everyone had been saying, his size, move him inside to safety, he'll be better at safety, but he'd been a corner at Q's, and that's where he played really well at Syracuse, and this was another, almost giving in to the pressure of looking at his size and his metrics and going, well, we'll move his position for the hell of it. And I just don't think he got a fair rub of the green. He just learnt the outside corner position and was just getting good at it. And then they shifted him and then expected him to be good at safety right away. And it didn't help that he had injuries every now and then. Like, he was like Julian. Every time he showed a bit of promise and put a bit of consistent play together, he got hurt. And it just never happened. I don't know what happened with him. Grandizer's probably best to tell us. But if he was relatively healthy last year, I'm just saying I wouldn't say no. I would bring him back and at least give him a look through camp and see what he can do. Because if he's lengthy, he's got range, he is a ball hawk. I think this could be redemption time for him. I really do. I think the team screwed up with him. But the team screwed up with him then. Could we trust him with him this time? I don't know. But I would like to. Me, personally. Dion Jordan, yeah, he definitely was. We should have kept that DB from Tampa that went to the Patriots. Carlton Davis? I think that was money related. Carlton Davis is the closest we've had to a lockdown corner since Slay left. It would have been good to keep him there. DC Smith goes, to be fair, I agree with Ant's rant that TA was on course for having a good year. Well, you know. We all have those ones. I don't hide behind my views. Regardless of whatever TA's done wrong, I still believe that had he gone into this year healthy, he would have had a really good year. And I still believe he would have been the player we invested in. But I've got no moral ground to stand on now because of the arrest and the stuff that's coming on about it. So I've lost all credibility with that one. But if that slate was clean, I just believe it's the injuries that's been holding him back. So, you know, the rant was in good of heart. I just didn't know that, you know. Obviously, we don't know. And that's the problem with being a podcaster. Your views are online forever. It's not like you sat around your mate's living room and you can pretend, oh, that never happened. I never said that. All my views are on air and they never go away. So, but I did believe what I said at the time. I won't backtrack on that. Rasul Douglas, maybe we had a chat about him earlier. Again, he's probably not the kind of. It was mentioned that he's not the kind of athlete kind of we go for, but he knows the division very well. I wouldn't mind at least getting him in and checking him over and seeing what he can contribute. See, I think he could be pretty decent. So, I would like to see. I would like to see him given a go, but we will see. Even if he is safety, like, we need safeties as well. So, you know, either or. He played well last year for the Finns. I can't get why he's holding out. It might be his last good payday. Oh, if it's a pay thing, then we've no chance because our money is low. And I wonder, can you imagine if the Lions got Minka Fitzpatrick for a 7th rounder instead of the Jets? Oh, I don't. Minka's one of those. It's like it feels like the guy you always give a chance to because you know what he can be. But I think the good version of Minka's long gone. Like Odell Beckham, when like just everyone kept trying and they just never got the same out of him as they did earlier. I don't think it'd make a difference if Minka was on this team, to be fair, but could be wrong. Could be wrong. Ads. Sorry. Yeah, it is YouTube with all these ads, so I apologise. Like I on these streams, I don't put ads on these streams because I like them to be ad free, but YouTube still does it, so should probably do it anyhow, just so we make some moolah off it. How far are we going this year with the last place schedule? Your opinion? My expectation is NFC Championship game. And I believe that's perfectly within the bounds of reason. One, your schedule gives you... I mean, you look at that schedule and you see, like, and again, any given Sunday in the NFL, but my absolute floor for this team is 12. I look at the home fixtures. The hardest home fixture we've got is the Patriots, and that's in Germany. So I look at our home schedule. There's not one team I see coming to Ford Field this year where I'm like, we can't beat these guys handsomely. I would expect us to sweep at home, be 8-0. And then away from home, I mean, you've got Buffalo, which is always a tough one. You've got to go to Carolina early. It depends what version of Carolina you're getting. But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, you know, obviously, the Bills one you could lose. You're pretty much guaranteed to lose at least one of the NFC North road games, especially with all three of them been in the last 4 weeks, which sucks balls. But I look at that and I think at most, I could, you know, even with 3 or 4 losses, let's say 4 losses on the road, if you sweep at home, you win the Germany game, or even if you lose the Germany game, that's 12-5. That for me is your absolute bottom floor if you stay healthy, is 12 wins. I would expect us somewhere in the 13-14 win range. Because I reckon you'll lose 2 or 3 on the road, and I don't know what they'll be like in Europe, because they've never been across before. Not with this iteration of the team. So 13-14 wins in the regular season. I think that would be enough to clinch the NFC North. I don't know if it'll be enough to clinch the 1 seed, probably get you the 2 seed, something like that, but will get you a nice home draw. You would like to think 7 seed in the NFC is going to come from the NFC South, which is, you know, just trash right now. So you would like to think if you could get a home road through to the NFC Championship game, that would be good, and then you'll probably go on the road to an NFC West team, at my guess. But the Championship game is if we don't reach the Championship game this year, I'll be disappointed. And I will probably have more questions than answers this year if we don't get that far. Because for me, we've got our young core. We've paid our young guys. We've got more than enough playmakers on this team to go out there and win. And we've got no excuses now. We've got the coaching. We've fixed the O-line. We've done everything we need to do. We're not going to get a better shot at it. We're not going to have a fourth place schedule very often either. So, yeah. I'll say 13-4 in the regular season. And we get to the NFC Championship game. What happens there, I don't know. Don't draw me on that. But, yeah. NFC Championship game is my expectation. And where I believe we can get to as a minimum. I don't know if the rest of you agree, disagree. But for me, yeah, I've got high expectations from this year. We've gone back 2 years in a row. Now you've got to take a legitimate step forward. Just winning a playoff game, for me, is not enough. Especially if it's a wild card game. You've got to threaten the Super Bowl again. And from what I was told, Finn's shopped Minka around and wanted to do him right, but the most anyone would give was a 7th, or there'd be a reason for that. Should have signed Jack Jones. I like Jack Jones. That would have been a good one. Secondary was going into the season as the weakest link, finished as the strongest. Yep, it's funny how that can happen with teams. Holmes would not sign me to talk about the Lions. He would not even pay US minimum wage, Mr. Chief. No one would pay me to talk about the Lions. Don't be silly. Especially a British guy. Could you imagine that? Like, just. I know you've accepted us all, but you wouldn't accept us to that degree. And I don't know enough anyhow, so I've always been more. I know more college ball. I would accept a job. I would accept a job to be paid to talk about college football easily. But I'm but a humble, free paid person on YouTube who talks about this here. Terry Perry's in the building. He goes, "Hey Anthony, how are you? I am very good. I hope you are well. Glad to see you back in again. I've missed doing these Q&As. I've been having you all in the building, chatting with you on the weekends. So appreciate you all hanging around with me. Are you going to see the Lions in Germany? Yes, I am. We are all going to Germany. So if you're coming across, then let us know. We're going to try and do a meet-up while we're there. Not during the game, but would at least, if some of you are coming over for a few days, like to meet some of you on a night. So yeah, we'll be there. Don't you worry. It's going to be a lot of fun indeed. Yeah, we've been waiting for them for ages. We were meant to see them in England in 2020 when they played Jacksonville, but COVID banned Jacks that. So we've had to wait 6 years since our last opportunity to see them. We are not going to miss it. Ant, who is on the hot seat going into 2026-27 season segment? Who? What is that? GMs? Lions staff? Be more specific. There's a lot of lists you could do there. Oh, Lions hot seat, that is. The worst part is I don't think anyone's on a hot seat. The prevailing narrative is that we've got a long championship window, and there'll be no standards enforced with it, which is sad, but it's the way they're going to go with it. So I genuinely don't think anyone's on the hot seat. You could have a 2-3 win season and pick one overall. I don't think anyone would get fired. I think they'd be on last chance saloon going into next year. Don't get me wrong, I think they'd be on a hot seat then, but I don't think there's anything they could do this year that will put them on a hot seat, Brad and Dan. Or that would get them fired, sorry. They could put themselves on a hot seat for next year, but it would take a massive implosion. It would take something really, really, really bad to happen. Terry goes, I'm taking a wait and see approach. Team needs to stay healthy. Yeah, absolutely. That's the sensible thing to do. Wait and see. I want to see them start well, though. Start as they mean to go on. Like last year, that loss to Green Bay in week 1, that just set the tone for the year. They brutalised us, and I don't like to use words like that when the NFC opponents play us, but they brutalised us. And even though we won a chunk of games after that, I just always felt like that Green Bay win just said it foreshadowed our season. Not good enough in the trenches. When our backs were up against the wall, we just weren't able to fight out of it, which is odd for this team. So, I want to see good tempo. You've got the Saints at home this year, and with all due respect to the Saints and to TJ, one of our favourite guests on here, you shouldn't be having any trouble with the Saints at home if you've got legitimate aspirations this year. So start as you mean to go on. I want to see a very good start this year, because you got the Bills away in week 2. And I want to see us go to the Bills' new stadium, and I want to see us win there. I want to see, you've got to beat good opposition. We don't play good opposition too many times this year. You've got to have a statement win in a year to show you can do it. So, my expectations are high. We've got to start strong. NFC North is so strong, I can't see the Lions winning 6 games all year. It's going to be rough after Goff gets hurt, more game from a missed block. 6 games all year? I mean, if Goff gets hurt, then fine, but outside of that, we're good as well. The Vikings suck. The Vikings can't even decide who their quarterback is. The Packers are way overrated as per usual, and the Bears, the Bears have got to play a first place schedule for the first time. They've had 4th place schedules 4 years in a row. They've got to work with a hard schedule this year. So I agree the division is tough. It always is. Doesn't matter how good or bad teams are, they always play us hard. But I think 6 wins is an ultimate doomsday scenario. We could win 6 games with, I was going to say Chase Daniel at quarterback, but that might be too much of a stretch, but you know what I mean. And how is the new job? I was thinking about you whilst I was looking at some of your recent streams of this channel. I'm working nights at the moment. I'm not going to particularly say I enjoy it a lot. I don't, but money is money. I had to get a new job, so it's tough, but I'm doing about 18,000 steps a day at the minute. I've lost a lot of weight. I might not show it, but I'm losing a lot of weight at the minute, which is good. But it's taking a lot of my time up, which is not good because I invest a lot of time into the podcast, and when I can't invest time into the podcast, I can't do as many podcasts, and I don't like that. So I'm trying to find the right balance where I can put enough time into the podcast as well as my job, and still have a social life, because I want to have a social life as well. But it's fine. It's just very tough. But hey ho, it is what it is. And did you ever see the BBC Sci-Fi Humans? I love that. I loved that. You would love it. It is well worth your time. But I did go through a stage of watching a load of BBC stuff, but Humans is really good. Terry goes, we need a good start. If we start slow again, we could be in trouble. Potentially, yeah. As I say, before the bye, at worst, you can be 3-2. Because you've got to go away to Buffalo and you've got to go away to Carolina. They are tough games. If you're any less than 500 going into the bye, then you've got that stretch of home games after the bye, which you should win, but this team has shown that it doesn't like playing at home as much as it does away. So if you roll in post-bye and you're struggling and the crowd's on your back, they don't always play the best when they're in those situations. So yeah, you've got to be 3-2, preferably 4-1 by the time that bye hits, and then just start rolling over teams at home and set the momentum going. And is there an elephant in the room move that is in the Lions rumour bill? Max Crosby possible trade rumours again. Is there an... Not that I've seen, if you're asking me what I've seen, or you're asking me what I do. I mean, I've not seen any elephant in the room moves. Because trade stuff goes quiet this time of year at the moment. If I was to make one, as we were chatting about earlier, I would go big on a corner. I would try and find it. Like if it was Denzel Ward, let's say that, I would give up some serious draft capital or players for Denzel Ward. And I would tempt the Browns into doing that, because the Browns are a bad team who are not going to compete this year. That would be my elephant in the room move, which I don't think a lot of people would do. But 17 million against the cap. You can give him a new contract, which will bring that number down. Like trade and sign, not sign and trade. Trade and sign, as it were. and lower that cap hit for the next few years. That would be my elephant in the room move. I would love Denzel Ward here. I think he'd be exactly what we needed. You know, having DJ Reed, Denzel Ward, and Keith Abney, that's not a bad cornerback room to have on your outside. It gives Abney room to, you know, adjust as well. Hopefully he wouldn't need to play too much, and we could use him in advantageous situations and work him in. So that is the elephant in the room move I would do. I've not heard one otherwise from the Lions. Although I guess the Laporta trade rumours is elephant in the room. But they love him, and I just really don't see it happening. I don't think there's any way in hell they trade him, but because we've got no tight ends either, so we can't from a positional standpoint. Maybe something happens with one of the top safeties. Maybe Branch does. Maybe they just can't afford to pay everyone. If Kirby's not fully healthy, do they cut him? If the knee's too bad, maybe that's a move that no one will see coming. But outside of that, I ain't really got much. What defensive coordinator would you choose at the beginning of the season, or are you okay with Shepard? I'm alright with Kelvin. And I'll always go back to the point. I saw enough from him at the first half of last year to think that he will be... Like, I remember commenting week after week after week at the start of last year how impressed I was with the adjustments he made at halftime, because we've been complaining about that on both sides of the ball for years, having coordinators who can't make adjustments, like Ben Johnson and his third quarters, and Aaron Glenn and, you know, his I think it was, where did we struggle with Aaron Glenn? We used to struggle in first quarters with Aaron Glenn. Like, he'd just keep running the same stuff out there. But we always complained about how rigid they were. Kelvin did make a lot of positive adjustments in games during the first half of last year, which were beneficial to us, especially in that winning run. I always just say he was a rookie coordinator, and the league figured him out. And more experienced offensive coordinators found some weaknesses and exploited that. That's the whole point of being a rookie coordinator. You win some, you lose some. He started off very well. The league adjusted to him. Now, the thing is, can he adjust to the league? Like, if he starts struggling for the first half of this year, I'll start having questions. But I love him as a coach. I love him as a person. Like I say, I want to see him as head coach of the Lions when Dan's done. When Dan calls it a day, I want Kelvin to be the next head coach of the Lions, providing everything goes well. Like, I am rooting for him fully. But I'm certainly, again, he did well, the league adjusted, that's how it works. It's how does he adjust back at the start of this year? Like, that's the question. If the defense starts out well this year and goes on well, then we're not going to have any issues with him whatsoever. So, honestly, I wouldn't trade him to start this year, because I think we're at the beginning of something special with him. I really honestly do. And this goes back all the way to his time when we first got him. I've really loved him since then. I want to see the Lions play the Bills in December with a lot of snow. No, we don't love snowballs. No, bad Grandizer. Besides, isn't the Bills' new stadium got a roof? Or a retractable roof? I don't think... They're not going to have snow games in Buffalo anymore. Pretty sure they've got the retractable roof there now, so no more snow games. You'll have to go to Green Bay for that, and who wants to go to Green Bay? On paper, the Rams are the favourite to win the Super Bowl, but they need to stay healthy. Oh, yeah. If every single team was fully healthy going into this year, the Rams probably have the best roster in the NFL, I believe. Like, starting 22. The Rams probably got the best team, so... But, like I say, it's funny. A lot of these teams, a lot can go wrong. Just take Stafford getting hurt, and they don't know what they're doing at quarterback 2 right now. I believe it's Stetson Bennett and in what's-his-face from Alabama, Ty Simpson, and everyone fighting over that thing, and Jimmy doesn't know if he's staying or not, so... Yeah, but I agree, on paper the Rams are the favourites, and rightfully so. Yes, I'm working vampire hours, Grandizer, but it's summer here at the minute, so the sun comes up at like 3:30 in the morning, so it's not really dark for very long at the minute. And speaking of, RIP to you lot over there, you've got that heat dome coming, which is apparently going to be 45 degrees, which is just, I'd die in that. So stay safe, everyone, and stay hydrated, because that looks nasty. I heard that Humans was really one of the best TV sci-fis. Yep, you'll love it, Grandizer. Go for it. We've got enough Homers. Don't become one. I will never be... I love this team so much, I do, but I am always a critical thinker. I don't ever just, you know, I don't ever just stay positive and happy all the time. You've seen me, and you know, a lot of you have said I've been a lot more negative recently. I'm not. Well, maybe I am. I don't know. I'm just, again, my expectations are changing. My expectations are going up. Some people are just happy to keep their expectations. Me, just year by year, my expectations go up. You go back 3 years, I asked nothing of this team. Nothing except get a little better every year. And that's all I'm asking now, but, you know, it's more critical and it comes out, so I will always be on the fence, and I will always say what I think. There's no point just being eternally happy all the time. That does no one any good. I like to think everyone can have a conversation with me. Because some people will just be like, they'll not listen to people who are negative, or listen to slappies or haters or whatever. I like to think everyone can have a conversation in here. I like to appeal to everybody. I seen TJ Watt to the Lions report. I feel like 5 years ago that would have been something, but it just feels like that ship has sailed now. I'd rather just give Derek Moore the reps and see what Derek Moore can do. Browns need to rebuild. Yeah, they do. That's why they should let Denzel Watson go to us. Well, the UK's direct equivalent to the American PBS is the BBC. Yeah, I like PBS stuff. There's some good stuff on PBS that you can watch over here, so I do not mind it. Retractable roof, but they allow the snow in still. They'll probably do it in certain situations. If they come up against a very pass-heavy team that can't run a football, they bet their bottom dollar they'll let the snow in. That could be an unfair cheating thing there, or if, you know, a team doesn't run the ball well, or if a team runs the ball really well, they'll keep the snow off, etc., etc. We got hit with injuries on the defense, so I had to use lesser players. Yeah, I think Kelvin's done enough with what he had. Like, we got the Legion of Whom. The linebackers, and positionally developing wise, is still linebackers coach. The linebackers have developed as good as any area of our defense. All of them pretty much have hit eventually, so, you know, he's a good talent developer as a bare minimum. We have lots of rain here. Well, we need rain. Literally, I have this lovely, you can't see it now because it's dark, but I have this lovely picturesque view of a valley here, and like the entire side of it's meant to be green fields and stuff like that. It's all yellow now because the grass is dying and the soil's completely dried up. We've just not had any rain whatsoever, and it gets worse year on year. Should be lush green now, and it's like hay yellow. So we need rain desperately. We're meant to have a load of thunderstorms, and they never came. We've just got more hot weather coming, which is crazy. It's never this hot over here. The world is a changing. I think you've been pretty fair with the team. I appreciate that. I like to think I'm fair with the team as well. You know, and again, I care. I care about the team. I think sometimes being too happy is negative for the team. You've got to hold the team to account where you can. So I try and find that happy balance in the middle, but I'll always say my opinion. I'll never just be happy or sad for the sake of it. You know, every opinion I have is backed by facts, or backed by very strong opinion. Luke G taught me that many years ago. I'm forever in Luke G's debt for that. He taught, the man is stubborn and I love him to death, and he taught me how to hold my opinions properly, because I didn't know how to when I debated with him. And can I get you to take a look at the Titans? Just take them in. I'm so excited for them this year. The defense is going to be so good. You know what? I do root for the Titans, specifically with Cam Ward. Like, Cam Ward has, like, the Bryce Young effect with me. Like, just people ragged on him so much. I don't know why either. And then he gets sort of injected onto a really bad team, and then people have a go at him. But I remember Bryce Young. I can't remember which game it was specifically in college. There was one game that always stood out with me. I want to say they played UNC one year. I could be wrong, but there was just this game where he was getting absolutely pummeled and battered viciously again and again and again. Like, wasn't a usual Alabama offensive line, and he took the game by the scruff of its neck, and you saw in that game that he was going to be good. And that he would make it at the NFL if the right team got him. But everyone was ragging on him, saying he's not number one worthy, yada, yada, yada. And then he went to Carolina, which was an objectively a terrible team. Everyone's like, told you all, he's going to be a bust. Now look, now Carolina's got some talent on that team, and it's becoming a better team. Bryce Young is flourishing, like we all knew he would. Or those of us who had watched him knew. All the haters have gone away from him now. And that Carolina team, I'm scared. That's genuinely one of the games I'm scared about for the Lions last year, because it is the ultimate banana skin on the road. I don't want to face that team. But back to the point, I'm the same with Cam Ward. Me and Ryan were watching Cam Ward back when he was at Incarnate Word years ago. Long before he ever got to Miami. And then he went to Washington State and played really well. And we said early, look, there's an NFL quarterback there. He's going to be really good. And then it comes to his draft and everyone's just ragging on him. He can't do this, he can't do that. It's like, he's worked at the FCS level. He's worked at, was it Pac-12? They were independent by then. But he came up through the ranks. He did really well. And then he had a great year at Miami. And I know Cam Ward's going to be a good quarterback. When Tennessee put that team around him, it will be a good side. And Cam Ward, and so I'm really rooting for him. So I do have a passing interest in the Titans, hoping they do well. And I mean, you look, it's a good receiver core. You know, DK's like a star returner. You got Iron Manor. You put Carnell Tate in there. Ridley. You know, it's just that offensive line. I just hate Dan Moore at left tackle for them, but, you know, the interior's good. You've got some good tight ends there for them as well. Defensive line could be really good. I know Ash is hoping for JJ to take the step forward there next year, but JJ and Franklin Myers is a good edge rush pairing. You know, you've added Anthony Hill onto that team. I think it could shock some people this year. There's certainly a team that you're looking at as one for the, like, I'd say in 2 years' time, you're looking at a real contender in Tennessee. While they build it up together, like I mean, they could do it this year. Who knows? But I certainly think in like 1 or 2 years' time, they will be. It might not be this year. This is the year where they've got to start winning some games and getting the young guys some cohesion and just playing consistent ball, because they've been wildly inconsistent. But yeah, I think certainly they are worth a look, the Titans are this year. And as I say, I will always back Cam Ward. So, you know, they'll always have him in my corner, for sure. Where were we? But yeah, well, I'll have a bit more of a deep look at the Titans before the season starts. But yeah, objective, they've got some good players there. Objective, absolutely. Objective and factual. That is the way we do it. Ken Stauder's in the building. Hope you're doing well, Ken. Oh my God, we've been going 2 hours, 20 minutes. This went on a lot longer than I thought it would. God bless you all for coming and spending your Sunday evening with me. I honestly didn't think that many people would turn up, because I usually do these on Friday, but I appreciate the hell out of you all. Bill's stadium roof is like a European football stadium. The roof only... Oh, right, okay, so it's kind of a... It's like the Alliance Arena where the Lions are playing. Yeah, it comes sort of over the seats, but it's not fully encased. I get you. But it shouldn't be as bad. Like, they're designed to keep snow out, so and weather like that. Obviously, you don't get much snow in Munich, but it is what it is. Let the snowers on, Ant. Wear fam hits the Lions jacket. Show us your valley, Ant. I can't. It's dark outside Grandizer. It's 2:30 in the morning here. I should probably be in bed, so you can't you can't see that there. Show who's the best DB in this upcoming draft, and do you think Holmes will draft a DB early next year? KJ Bolden. KJ Bolden, without a shadow of a doubt, is the. You know me. You know I love safety prospects. Like I weren't so keen on safeties this year. It's been a while since I've had a proper safety crush. KJ Bolden is out of this world. The Georgia safety started day one. Yes, he was a high 5-star recruit and, you know, one of the highest rated commits they've ever had. But he's just played since day one, and he just screams lifetime NFL player. The man is so good at just about everything. The run defense, he's got good ball hawk ability to him, tough as nails. I think barely ever missed a game. Durable as they come, especially for the way he plays. I just look at him, he screams NFL for life and potentially getting a gold jacket when all is said and done. There are some good corners this year as well, but I've been obsessed with KJ Ball ever since he came out of high school. Like before he'd even taken a snap for Georgia, I was already obsessed with him. So, yeah, for me, he has his true junior year this year. He comes in, he's going to be a younger player. He's just fantastic, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You will be fed up of his name by next draft cycle. I will mention him that much, but that's an early heads up for you there. KJ Bolden is just absolutely looking phenomenal, and for me, he is the best pure defensive back in this draft as it stands. Obviously, a year can change a lot, but I'm almost certain that nothing's going to change my opinion of him there. And what about you moving where we can see your landscape behind you, the window view? My room's not set. I have to have my... Oh, I don't know. I'll try and find something, but my room's not set up to have an outside view. But I will give you a look at some point. Whatever. But it is an absolutely stunning view I have. Or it is usually when it's nice and green and not cooked in the heat. How is Luke G doing? Luke's doing well. He had his third child last year, so I know since he's had the third child especially, time is tough for him to get online, but we still chat to one another occasionally. So yeah, he's doing well. He is always as he is, but yeah, Luke taught me how to argue. Put it that way. I am not the person I am on here today without Luke, so I always shout him out. He's probably not listening, but yeah, he's always been one of my biggest inspirations for doing this, so it's a shame he doesn't stream as much anymore, but hopefully we'll have him on again at some point soon. We usually do have him on, so we'll see if we can get him on pre the season. But yeah, he's doing well. So far as last time we spoke to him, anyhow. You need the right OC for the Alabama QB to do well. You do. Carnell Tate is looking like a pro so far. I'm not surprised. I think he's going to do well there. Who is your surprise team for who does well and what team doesn't do well? It is early in the process right now, but let me just have a little look. Who's going to be the surprise one and who is not? Does it count to say the Lions will be a surprise because they're a fourth place team, or is that a cheap one? I mean, it's tough really. Who's going to be a disappointment this year? I mean, it's tough because Carolina were an 8-win team last year. They won their conference with a less than 500 record. I want to say Carolina are going to take a step up to be a double-digit win team this year. I think in terms of being a legitimate contender and to at least get some playoff wins and go deep, I would put the Panthers up there. And again, I know they're a division winner, but still, they were a division winner, but by proxy of the division being absolutely rubbish. I think the Panthers are going to be a lot better this year, and I do really like them a lot. Who else have we got? I think, depending on how the injuries do with Daniels and whether he's happy, I think the Commanders will bounce back big. Like, the Commanders were better than a 5-win team. I know they're a bit of an older team, but I do fancy the Commanders to do well. I think the Titans will be in conversation to be a team who are much better. They'll not go 3-14 this year. It wouldn't surprise me if they got to sort of 7-8 wins and really, started turning that thing around this year. In terms of teams who are going to regress, I think Jacksonville's going to regress to means. I'm just not sure. Again, sort of with the Colts having quarterback troubles and with the Titans been sort of in a rebuild, the Jags have kind of been able to get into that gap. But I think the Texans will bounce back this year. So I think the Jags are going to regress. Steelers, if they keep A-Rod, they ain't going to be a 10-win team. I think they're going to regress. I don't know if there's any shock teams that will absolutely... Ooh, I wonder. You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the Raiders have a really good year. And again, this is maybe Mendoza bias from back when he was at Cal, and I've liked him for a long time. But when you look, they've retained Crosby. They've bought in Linderbaum. You know, you've got Mendoza under centre now, or you've got Kirk O'Chains if you want to go that route first. And you look around, the Chiefs are not once... The Chiefs will probably be good, but they'll not be once were. Denver have deficiencies. The Chargers have deficiencies. I know we say it every year, but colour me in for the Raiders to be the surprise this year. Colour me in for the Raiders to make the playoffs as the 7th seed. I think that's my one for who's going to be the surprise team who does well. And then I would say the Jags are going to tank right off. But that's maybe not a surprise. Who could do bad? Seattle. I think Seattle could drop right off now. The Rams are going to be good. I think the 49ers are going to bounce back. They've just won the Super Bowl. Traditionally, a lot of Super Bowl teams drop off after they win that one Super Bowl. You know, a lot went right for them last year. And they've lost some big pieces in free agency. So, my shock team to do well is the Raiders. My shock team to fall off is Seattle. So, got that there. Pinky or Bob is in there, just got here. Think Abney has a chance to start outside with Arnold out. I know they've been mainly putting him at slot. Yeah, I've been very vocal about this. He should start outside. Keith Abney has played next to most of his career at Arizona State as an outside corner. He's not played at slot. I hate teams who look at measurables and put them in a box. He plays out, and the reason he does so well when he plays outside is because he's so well at the line of scrimmage. As I've already mentioned, I know I've taught this point already, but he gets to the line of scrimmage, he gets in a players' grills, he is very tough against it. He takes them out of their routine. You know, he gets them off balance, and therefore the lack of size, you know, the lack of speed, some might say he makes up for, because players can't get a jump on him because he's so aggressive at the line of scrimmage. I think if you give him the opportunity to play him there, if you're going to play him at slot corner, you may as well just have drafted an actual slot corner. I don't like shoehorning guys. I like guys who play in college at one position to try it at the next level. I know sometimes it doesn't work, but I'm just a big fan of have specialists. He's an outside corner. Use him as an outside corner, especially with Terry on out now. So I think he should have the chance to start outside. They sure as hell should give him some chance in the preseason to show that he can do it, but I don't want them pigeonhole him into slot. Because what if he starts bad there? What are they going to do? Drop him. Start using him as an inactive or something like that. They'll ruin him. If you put him at slot right away and he doesn't do well, they're not going to give him an outside shot at corner, are they? No. Whereas the opposite happens. You put him on the outside, you see how he does. If it doesn't quite work out, then you move him into slot and see what you've got there with him. When you're put in at slot corner, you only get one chance. And I don't think that's fair for someone who's never played there. So, yeah, but I appreciate you being in the building asking the questions. I think you should start outside. And I don't want to see this cliche of just putting smaller guys at slot. We still need pass rush as our biggest need. We need someone to stand up for sure. I'm not sold on Wareham or Peyton. We need Derek Moore to come good, really. But it's going to take time with him. And obviously Hassanin is certainly going to take time. So in an ideal world, DJ Wareham can hold up an end for like the first 7-8 weeks. And then one of the rookies gets in a position to supplant him. Sort of has some, good cameo appearances, racks some sacks up. And then it's like, okay, DJ, you're done. We don't need you anymore. We'll put the rookie in. So, yeah, I think in ideal case scenario, just one of the vets holds the fort while the young guys develop. That Bills Stadium roof has snow melting and a water retrieval system. The tech in that building sounds a bit crazy. It does indeed. And in case I missed your outro, has the internet dropped here? A few minutes behind, like 10 minutes. My internet, I've got no dropped frames for a change. My internet's good, so it's nothing on my end. Just refresh and you'll catch up, but it's certainly not me this time. A lot of times it is my thing, but that is there. This could be the season all big four of the big cat teams rank in the top 15 at season end. Has not happened yet. That's a good shout. All the big cat teams could do well there. You're absolutely right. I would like to see that happen. I think I like most of the big cat teams currently, so we will see. Do you think the Pats will have a bad year, Super Bowl hangover, and head coach cheating nonsense? I didn't think about that. The Patriots just have like this winning culture knocking around them, though. The Bills have got a new head coach. The Jets, who knows what's going on there. The Dolphins don't know what they're doing. By getting Malik Willis, they're saying they're not doing a rebuild, but by a lot of the other moves they've made, they've said we're in a rebuild. So I don't know whether they're trying to compete or they're in a rebuild. But I think the Pats' strength in division means they'll still do pretty well, and they're built through the trenches. Generally, teams like that work better even with coaching troubles. If you're still good in the trenches, it doesn't matter who your coach is. As long as you play well, you'll be good. And Drake May's really good. So I don't think there'll be that much of a drop-off for them. I really don't. But who knows? As long as we kick their ass in Germany, I don't care. You can't tease us with a great view and not show us. You can see a view of the dark right now. If you want to see pitch black, in fact, I could just turn my camera off and that'll be the same view for you. I don't see more pushing through the starting lineup or second string. I don't see more pushing through the starting lineup or second string. Potentially not. I don't know with him, but his pass rush win rate is excellent. So I would like to see that sooner rather than later. We'd be crying out for that. So hopefully we do see him. They'll probably use a rotation, and plus Hutch. We don't want Hutch playing every single snap. So if we've got to play Wannerman more or something like that, then fine. But Hutch needs to play much less snaps this year. So we need to take some pressure off him as well. Hopefully Hassani incoming good will help in that regards as well. Right. We've been going 2.5 hours. This has been a long time. So if you've got any last questions you want to get in, then please do so. Again, I appreciate the hell out of you all for spending your Sunday evening with me. It's been absolutely fantastic. This is the longest one of these streams I've done yet because you've just carried on asking me questions, and I love it. I love you all. So I'm just going to go through the upcoming shows and that, and then I'll answer any last questions. Then I'm going to get out of here because it's 3 a.m. and I'm not going to go to bed for a while yet. So I need to start winding down. Our main podcast will be back tomorrow. We weren't entirely sure what we were going to do. Weirdly enough, Matt put a comment earlier which I missed, which says he's going to do a mailbag. So if you want to ask Matt and Ash and Paul about any questions tomorrow, then please do. But we will be live, and who knows, we'll maybe just do something like this. But I just wanted to do another weekend stream again because I enjoy them so much. But we'll be back on the main pod tomorrow. Wednesday, the college football podcast will be back. That is my fault, not Rise, because I've been busy with work. We are looking at cornerback prospects in next year's draft, potentially, at all 3 levels. Power 4, Group of 6, and FCS, obviously, in the light of what's happening with Terry and corner, might be a big need for us in next year's draft. So we're going to introduce you to the names, some of our favourite names for this upcoming season for you to keep an eye on. So College Football Podcast will be back for that, and then hopefully I will be back with a stream next. I'll probably do a stream next Sunday again because I'm off Saturday, Sunday next week. But I'm going out Saturday night, so yeah, going to dance and show my Northern Soul moves, Grandizer. So that'll be fun. So I will be back for that one there. And don't forget, you can always come chat with us in Discord, whatever. I know some of you are in there already, so we're at hand 24 hours a day. But that's everything in terms of shows coming up. We'll mention in a couple of months' time we are going to be celebrating our 6-year anniversary, which is going to be a fun one. We've got something fun planned for that. And we're redeveloping all our graphics, our sounds, all that sort of stuff. So this pod is going to have a much cleaner setup going forward. We're putting a lot of time into advancing that part of it, so we're going to look a little bit more professional like some of the others are, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, 6 years of this podcast only made possible because you guys listen to it and interact with it. Really, honestly, do appreciate you all so much. It's really means a lot. So yeah, I think that's everything housekeeping-wise. Let's just go through the last bits here. Terry goes, TA should be cut. Hopefully one of the veterans step up, or we sign all veterans when cut happens. I don't think you cut him till yet. We don't need to cut him yet. You don't need to cut him until the 53-man roster comes in. Just wait and see what happens first. I know it all looks bad right now, but for now, just keep him because there's no reason to get rid of him right now. And if something happens where it turns out that he's not involved or whatever, or I don't know, then you just don't want to jump the shark, as they say, too early. So or jump the gun. Jump the shark's a different one, but yeah, you don't want to jump the gun. No reason to do it just yet. There's no difference with cap implications now. You're past June the 1st, so cap implications remain the same whether you do it today or in a month's time. So there's no reason to do it till you've got to go down to 53. So I don't think you do that now. With Aleem and Tyleek will create chaos, which will boost Hutch and One. And what's your projection on Lions sacks pressures compared to last year? I had my second sack master on this year been Barnes. I'm hoping that with Aleem and Tyleek in the middle, because Tyleek's a double teamer, Aleem's certainly a double teamer, Hutch is a double teamer, so you're going to have, 3 pairs of double teams if you want to stop the 3 main guys. You're one-on-one with Wanham or whoever's on there. If we use Derek Barnes as the blitz specialist that he is, because that's what he was at Purdue. He was a specialist blitzing linebacker who created chaos in the backfield. If we use him as that, he could rack up a ton of sacks this year. I would include Branch in that conversation if he was going to be healthy, because having Branch back will help, because he's one of our only DBs who can blitz and get home occasionally. But I think sack numbers will stay the same roughly. Sacks weren't the issue last year. Tackles for loss were the issue last year. We were 30th in tackles for loss, so we need more negative plays against the run. And the guys they've brought in all have high win rates on the line of scrimmage. DJ Moore does, Skylar Gill-Howard does. Obviously, you've got Aleem back. The more you can win those one-on-ones, the more tackles for loss you're going to get. So I foresee roughly the same sack numbers, but I expect to see a lot more tackles for loss this year because we've got more guys who can break into the backfield off the line of scrimmage than we did in years gone by. And that's what I've been screaming for. We've had too many big, chunky, useless guys who stop the run, but not enough technical specialists who can win one-on-ones on the line of scrimmage. We've changed that this year. So, yeah, sacks the same, tackles for loss through the moon. And hopefully we'll be a top 10 unit in that this year instead of 30th. Because that's what cost us. If you can't get negative plays in the run game, teams are never put in tough positions against your defense, which doesn't help. How many times do you remember us been in long situations last year because we stopped the run? We didn't. And it puts stress on the defense. You get to 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13. That's when your defense starts getting advantages. So, yeah, I think we will do well there. Do we cut Reed if he can't return to form? No. You keep DJ Reed. Just roll with him throughout the year. If he sucks this season, then cut him at the end of the season. But there's no need to get rid of him now because he needs to be our cornerback 1. And to be honest, right now, we don't have anyone to replace him. So I think even a bad DJ Reed, at least on his day, can play like a cornerback 1. So you've got to keep him in there just in case. So, it's crazy. I think we get to keep more guys on the D-line this season. Yeah, it depends. Because not a lot of them will reach through waivers either. So you've got to be careful. But I think we'll keep quite a few more. But I think we'll keep more at tackle. But yeah, we'll keep quite a lot of guys this year. I know a lot of Lions fans are confused between slot cornerback and box safety. Who plays the slot? Can you explain the difference so fans understand why one or the other is... So the difference between... Have a lot of fans been getting confused by this? I mean, you would think it was... I mean, to be honest, the way the NFL's going now, a lot of these sort of hybrid positions are starting to meld together. But, when you're a slot corner, you specialise in covering against the slot receiver. It's different skill sets you need. Obviously, you need to be very agile. You've got to have good hips. You've also got to be tough to stop against the run. And then obviously your box safeties, they play more like a linebacker. You generally have bigger, chunkier guys like Branch who can impact against the run. You will also use them against the blitz, but they cover tight ends as well. So, when you're covering these bigger, stronger tight ends, like you've got a 6'6", 260-pound tight end as opposed to this, 5'11", 180-pound corner receiver. It's all about who you like. That's one of the big differences. Slot corner, you're on the wide receiver, generally a slot receiver. Box safety, you're up against the tight end. So you've got to have different skill sets in terms of your build and everything. But Brian's really tough. And as I say, Brian can blitz as well. Sometimes you'll blitz your box safeties again because they're in that linebacker role. You can use them to blitz. That's what Brian's so good at. Generally, your slot corners, they can, but they're not really built to do it, if you know what I mean, because box safeties are a bit taller. Box safeties are usually a lot stronger. But that's the main difference for me there is, it's who they're matched up against. And obviously they're both responsible for being against the run as well, but your box safeties generally come up against the bigger blockers as well. So, yeah, it's just your size and your build for me. So, yeah, you can't have someone too small at box safety. They've got to be, that's why a lot of your boxers in college and that are like 220, 230. They're quite heavy. I can't remember what Branch's fundamentals are. What's Branch's size again? It's Branch is 203, so he's quite light for a box safety, but he plays really tough. And he's also an exceptional athlete as well. You can to be honest, Branch is one of the few kind of true hybrid weapons we've got here, but like for McCreary. In fact, I love the addition of McCreary this year. I do think he's going to be one of the biggest difference makers we have on defense. If they get it right with him. But where is he? Let me have a look at his build just to try. I'm trying to prove a point here, but I'm doing it very poorly. Where are we? But yeah, Roger McCreary's 5'11", 190. So as you say, bit of a smaller build, but a more athletic build to deal with the more athletic type of receivers you come up against. So yeah, that's but again, these positions are starting to change so rapidly now. But I do love my box safety types. But obviously, safeties are now so intertwined with linebackers as well. You've got like star linebackers. You've got Spurs, studs. Like these teams have so many different variations now. What you can do it. I can understand why it can get confusing, but the NFL for now is keeping it simple. And I heard you just mention the Finns. Please don't say any mean and hurtful things. I didn't say anything mean or hurtful. I just said they don't know whether they're in a rebuild or not. I didn't say anything mean about them whatsoever. Ant has a lot to say. You have to get it off your chest. I don't think Ash is shy. No, Ash will ask you questions. It's just if we ask them for you. So no, they're all good. I'm a bit surprised that Brad has not bought in another cornerback too to fill the possible TA vacancy. He might. We don't know yet. I'd say there could be a trade. There could be, cut downs when the 53s happen. There could be someone you snap up there. So I don't think we're done. I think they're probably just waiting to see, because it sounds like they're as surprised as the rest of us that this has happened. Because you'd have thought if they knew, because these have been out for months now, you'd have thought if they knew something serious were going to happen, they'd have done more than this. So I would be careful with that. And yes, I was going to ask what your future topics of your college football will be on. It's the conference previews and some of the positional preview stuff. So you know the drill. We'll hopefully get Zach on to talk about some FCS stuff as well. But again, I've not had much time to think about it, so we will get there. I was talking about cut Reed at the end of the season. Okay, that's fine. I agree with you. We should absolutely cut him at the end of the season if that's the way to go with that. 6 years of madness. 100% Ant, thank you. I just know I heard the cry for Branch playing the slot, but ideally you don't want him down there in the slot in spread packages. Yeah, I think when he was at Bama, like, it was really weird how they used him at Bama. Like, in terms of, because I know when he initially was drafted, people thought he could play the slot as well, but, you know, he was always built, he plays really tough, and he's so athletic. Like, for safety, he ran, what, a 4.5, something like that. Like, he's got good athletic ability. He was always built to be the strong safety type. You don't want to put, you know, Branch on, like, a Devon A-chain or something like that. That's just not going to work. But you put him on these bigger, more athletic tight ends, and they all bitch that he's too physical and they don't like him, like Kirby. Brian Branch was born to hurt people. That is your ultimate motive. If you want a good box safety, then the first prerequisite on the list is that person likes to hurt people in the nicest way possible, in a football sense. Like, he'll hit you and you'll know about it for the next week. And that's what Branch is. So it was. But yeah, I can understand why people do get a bit confused with it. I sometimes do as well. I'm specifically trying to learn more positions than that, especially from college teams and that. The stuff they come up with is crazy. Trying to keep up with the evolution of the game and whatnot and figure out what makes a good player. But yeah, box is pretty easy. Be tough and agile enough. He was cut from the Titans, McCreary. Yeah. I didn't mind Roger McCreary coming. Like, Roger McCreary was the one. They gave him a chance on the outside. He didn't work. They moved him into slot. He was better. He was the same in college. He always felt like he was going to struggle to stay on the outside. He didn't. But I think he's played better at the slot. And with due respect to the Titans, they have not been a good team the last few years. So I don't think that's helped either. So I think that a second home for him might just be the tonic he needs to, you know, get the best out of him, and just to be settled. Like he's been moved around. Again, this is why I think so many DBs fail. They get moved around so many positions and all these little nifty packages and that they never get to settle at one position. That's why you don't like jack of all trades. Because if you're a jack of all trade, it means you're not good enough to master one position, and I'd rather have a master of one position than none. So just let McCreary play at slot. Don't ask him to do anything else. Let him play there. Let him get comfy, and we'll see the best out of him. So I think a lot of teams just screw the guys around like that. Branch is a thicker build as well. He is. Yeah, he's built like he's just pure muscle, Brian Branch is. And he's just pure attitude. He's got the attitude as well. Like, I know some people don't like Brian Branch's attitude. I love it. Like, give me 53 players like him on a team. They're just brash. They're arrogant, but they've got the talent to back it up. And again, we talked about lifelong photos the other week. Brian Branch has got like so many photos you could put up in a frame and immortalize him. He's just that dude, as they say. Wide receivers, you don't want a cornerback covering the running back tight ends. No, you do not. I think Manu could be cut. I think they'll give him one more year. He'll be the last man on the roster type thing, but you shouldn't give up on your draft prospects until they've had 3 years as a bare minimum. And the Lions have been pretty consistent with that so far. They've not cut anyone too early, usually, unless injuries have happened. But I think Manu will still get on. Do we have KJ day one of the season? Don't know. Did TA get bail? He's on trial today, technically. Tomorrow, for you guys. So we don't know yet. But no, he didn't get bail. He's in holding till tomorrow, so no, he didn't get bail. Do you think Drew will lead the offense, or will he be lost out to Mike K? We were discussing this with Dave the other day. I think Drew will lead it. What Mike Kafka is there to do is to add the spice that gives the flavour to the offense. Like, we know what Drew Petzing will want to do. 2 tight ends, run the football, impose his will on them there. Kind of what Bob did last year. But the reason why Ben's success was so good was because he kind of did the same thing. He liked his heavy packages, he liked to run the football, but he had that little spice that you add to it. which just gives it that flavour and makes it all the more nicer. And I think Kafka will expand the passing game out, put some concepts in there, some trick plays that open up the field to allow the run game to work. So I think Drew will lead the offense, but Mike Kafka, when Drew's like, okay, we need some space in the box, we need to lighten it up, Mike, what have you got for me? Let's hit these mofos downfield with something. That's where Mike Kafka will come in and just give him these plays that will open up the field a little bit more. So he'll be like a very trusted field general to Petzing, but Petzing will be Petzing will be the battle commander, and Kafka will be the field general, doing as requested and helping him out. That's how I see that relationship working. And in a doomsday scenario, if Petzing fails, Kafka's there to replace him 100%. So we don't have to faff around trying to find a replacement. We can do it day one. No need to go through an interview process in the middle of the season or anything like that. I feel like the Lions wanted Caleb Downs to run more 3 safety sets. Your thoughts? I mean, that would have been cool if we were ever in a position to do that. I love Caleb Downs, and again, the idea of 3 safety sets was fun. I did want us to draft a safety early. Halsey was my guy there, but obviously with Branch and Kirby being injured, we won't be able to do that for a while, and who knows if we'll be able to. But I think that might have been a possibility, and I think it would have been a fun one. But let's be honest, Caleb was never going to make it into position for us to get. I don't think. Or we would have had to give up too much. But I think that would have been a very fun 3. And at bare minimum, if Kirby never recovered, then Caleb Downs is your free safety for life. So you've got your replacement there, which helps. As it stands, we don't have a long-term replacement for Kirby. Maybe if Daniel has a good second year, because he had a good one last year, maybe he might make something of it. But yeah, having Caleb would have been fun. When does training camp start? 30th of July? No, I think they've said the rookies are like the 25th, the vets are like the 28th, and then I think training starts on about the 30th or the 31st, but it's right at the back end of July, so it's a late one. About another month to go yet for training camp. I loved his approach to dealing with the Juju Smith-Schuster. He dealt with that dirty, cheap shot after the game face-to-face. Yes, he did. So many DBs supported Branch and called out Juju for being a dirty player. They did. Did Larry have a good OTA? I'm not 100% sure. I'm just glad TA's crew has not tried to break him out yet. Prison break, Detroit Lions style. Yeah, I think all the crew is in jail there with him. Right. I've been going 2 hours, 53 minutes. It is 3 o'clock in the morning here. I appreciate every single one of you who has joined in with me this evening. This has been a lot of fun. I'm sorry it's been a few weeks since we've done one, but it's good to be able to get more of you in the building when it's evening over there and you're not all at work during the day, etc. So thank you ever so much. I'll see you again tomorrow on part of our main podcast. I've had a lot of fun. Again, if there's any questions, anything you want us to go through, just ping us on X, send us a message, email, whatever, and we'll discuss everything on the show. You know we will do our absolute best for you. We always do. But yeah, thank you to every single one of you who's been in. This has been a lot of good fun this evening. I heard Brad was trying to move up to 10. The cost was too high. Yeah, it would have been there. Right. Enjoy your Sunday evening, everybody. I shall see you all again tomorrow. You are all fantastic. Love you all. Peace out here from the UK. Stay chill. One Pride worldwide.